Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Tuesday night coverage of the Full Send Racing Series on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Tonight, the drivers get prepared. A little bit of a taste of what to see last week at the Clash for the Full Send Racing Series drivers. But tonight, they come to the belly of the beast, Daytona International Speedway, for the Daytona 150, presented by REG Customs, to get yourself prepared for some of the fastest racing, pack racing, to start out Season 5. We've had 4 incredible seasons with 3 incredible champions, but tonight it's time to see where the drivers line up to get their first win of the season. And all the coverage going to be here again on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is going to be Trevor Earhart. Trevor, crazy racing we got to see last week at IRP for the Clash, but tonight this is the official start of Season 5.
Yeah, great racing last week at IRP for the Clash, but we're here, the mecca of speed, Daytona, the place that most leagues, I believe, kick off their seasons. And Sam, I'm excited to be back because a little bit different format here tonight for these guys.
A very different format than what we've seen in the past. Usually it's you got 90 laps, 100 laps to finish out, see who's going to win at Daytona. Instead, this evening, qualifying's underway, but qualifying is just going to set up where you start in your duels. We're going to have 2 duel races to see who will be starting on the inside lanes or the outside lanes for the 2 duels. Each duel is going to be 15 laps in distance. Then after our 2 duels are done, we'll have a 2-minute warm-up session for the drivers to cool down, get prepared for just that of 60 laps of racing here tonight. It's not going to be a long race. Drivers are going to be having to cool down and find their patience very quickly for those 60 laps. And Trevor, I think that's going to be the more interesting thing. How do you handle the dual racing? Because qualifying right now is kind of setting up what lane you're going to be in. Currently, it's last season's champion, Zach Hall, with pole position. But swipe it away, some of the rookies want to top the board. It's Brian McCann now topping it in the 8 machine.
Yeah, McCann tops the board, Christopher Norris in 3rd, Dalton Alexander 4th, Cole Sacchetti right now 5th with Zach Hall in 2nd. Brandon Colley, another rookie, goes up to 4th now. But, you know, it's going to be interesting, Sam. This race, it's going to feel like a sprint. You have 2 15-lap heats and then a 60-lap main race. I mean, it's going to feel like a sprint to most of these guys, so it's going to be interesting to see how they decide to tackle this. Typically, we'd see guys break up into separate packs, but I think tonight, with how short this race is, we might see action from flag to flag.
We certainly could, and a lot of strategy calls could happen once we get to those 60 laps. Still, qualifying's underway. Andrew Medlin in the 12, going to be topping the board now over Travis Dart. Ken Campbell, 15 machine. We saw on camera put down this first lap, currently for the 15, 32nd position. Really took a slower first lap, trying to conserve those tires, but ramp up the speed. And now hoping for the top of the board. Ken Campbell, known for winning at super speedways, but hoping for a great start across the line. Ken Campbell, we look at the board and comes up shy right behind his teammate. It's going to be Andrew Medlin, that of Ken Campbell. 1-2 currently with 30 seconds left in qualifying. Some drivers are still out on their last lap. A few drivers making some moves. Philip Chavez up to 15th, and a couple of other drivers. Now, the key thing to watch out for, if you are in the odd section, that's 1, 3rd, 5th place and onward, you are going to most likely be in the first duel. And Trevor, that is lining up our whole entire inside lane the first 15 laps of our first duel. And then our second duel, another 15 laps. Get to see everyone that's going to be on the even side running as more drivers cross the line. This is about to get chaotic very quickly.
Oh, this is going to be very fun to watch in this heat. You're going to have all the odd qualifiers line up here for the first heat, all the even number qualifiers line up for the second heat. This is going to set the tone for the race. So spots to be gained, spots to be lost. If you're Andrew Medlin here, you could go from technically the pole all the way down to the back of the field, depending on how you finish in this heat race.
And this first heat race is about to get underway. As you see on our ticker board, 20 drivers going to be in this first heat. 20 drivers are going to be in both heats. We've got 40 drivers in total going to be running here tonight. And taking the top of the board, pole officially goes to Andrew Medlin. And then behind him is going to be Travis Dart, Zach Hall, Kevin McConnell, that of David McConnell, going to be in 4th with Tony Brent in 5th. Cole Sacchetti 6th, 7th goes to John Dart. Philip Chavez 8th, 9th's going to be Jacob Grant, and Joshua Altis taking that 10th place position.
Cameron Sarton will roll off in 11th with Trey Jackson in 12th. Chris Stitz will roll off 13th with Curtis Belichick in 14th. Christopher Wade will roll off 15th with Harris Gerwitz in 16th. William Duff in 17th, Peter Dillon in 18th, Doug Pierce 19th, and Brian Wilson round out our 20 drivers for heat number 1.
Still waiting on a few drivers to officially get into the grid before we start taking off, but you heard some of those names. I know, Trevor, we're going to be tripping up over some of these drivers. We got a huge rookie class coming into this season. It almost feels like half the league that is starting out for season 5 are all rookies. We got full teams marketing their way in, some drivers asking their friends to join. I think this is going to be a fun season to watch out on the speed wise, especially after what we saw last week at IRP. Once we get to those skill tracks, it's going to be fun to see what teamwork or who has the raw speed. Tonight, though, it's wide open on who can get it done.
Yeah, I think tonight it's more about if you can get together with your teammates, which teams are going to work together well, or, hey, if you have friends on different teams, if y'all can get together, work together well, see how that's going to work out for you. But when we get to the skill tracks, I'm right there with you, Sam. I think this is going to turn into a really good season outside of the super speedway as well, the talent that's been brought in.
I think it's interesting also, you look at where drivers qualified, a lot of their teammates are actually going to be lined up in the same row with one another, or drivers are going to be tagged up directly behind their teammates to watch out for. This front row, you're actually going to be seeing Andrew Medlin on the inside. His teammate, last season's champion, Zach Hall, going to be on the inside lane right behind him. And then you're also going to be seeing drivers that are on similar teams with one another. That's going to be seeing Tony Brent trying to tag along with the 4 machine of his teammate of David McConnell. I mean, it's crazy to see some of these teammates all going to be in this heat, so we get to see a little bit of that teamwork in this first heat. Again, 15 laps. This is setting up that inside row. Who's going to get those top positions, or who's going to actually just fall to the back? That's another interesting tactic that we could be seeing here in these duels.
Yeah, could very well see some guys just go to the back, right around, feel out the field. I mean, a lot of new faces in this field with some of the older guys that have been here for a while for the first couple of seasons could just be like, hey, I want to ride in the back, see how these new guys act, and then be ready to go for the main. But track position could be important here at Daytona. Some guys like to be up front to avoid the big one, and I think if you're Andrew Medlin, you're going to want to stay out front and keep that pole position for the main event.
And we're going to shout out our sponsors a lot here tonight. Just to want to give a quick briefing of ButtKicker, Next Level Racing, and that of Brent's Sims Studios. Those are going to be the 3 main sponsors that we're going to be shouting out a lot throughout the season. Just get their first one as we're getting ready for our duel number 1 to start. 15 laps. Who's going to be starting where on the inside row? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Full Send Racing Series. This season, the drivers are running the Xfinity car, and it's time to get who's starting up front, who's going to the back. Pace car is off, and let's get some Season 5 racing action underway as Andrew Medlin, Travis Dart get up to speed, and the rest of the field trying to follow in suit as they roar down into turn number 1.
Going down in here into turn number 1, top 4 side by side. A little bit of space there for 5th position. I believe at the 28 of Tony Brent. He's got the 42 of Cole Sacchetti on his outside, but everybody's still single filed out, and it's going to be the teammates on that bottom row trying to link together to see if they can get a little bit of momentum here out of turn number 2 and maybe clear that outside line. But a good push there from the 4 to Travis Dart. It's actually going to push that 26 machine out in the lead and give him a chance to maybe drop down in front of that bottom lane, and he's going to take it.
Going to take the opportunity to go to the inside lane, drive with some drivers that the 26 has watched for the last couple of seasons, having Andrew Medlin up front, a driver that is known to have some speed. You go back to season 2, the drivers were running in the trucks, and it was Andrew Medlin that found himself in a victory lane. Well, currently, second car on the inside of the 12 is going to help Travis Dart lead lap number 1 of Duel 1 as the drivers just starting lap number 2. We got 14 laps to go. This could change in any moment, and drivers got to be careful because they do not have a fast car to work with under this run. They do actually have drivers already lost in this duel number 1. That's going to be Jay Becker, who's going to be on a race already, missing out on the start of this thing. I mean, excuse me, he's actually going to be a driver. Watch out, he's going to be missing out on Duel 2 as he is not registered back in.
Yeah, it looks like maybe some internet issues there for Jay Becker, but hopefully he can get back in. But right now, it's going to be the 4 of David McConnell trying to get a push from Cole Sacchetti, Philip Chavez in the 101, leading that top lane, the top 3 right there, trying to see if they can get a little bit of momentum, but not looking like that run's going to happen for them on that outside line. It's still going to be Travis Dart being pushed by Medlin, Zach Hall, the 28 there of Tony Brent, and I believe the 94 of Joshua Altus on that bottom line, and looking pretty good here going back into turn number 1.
And with this kind of racing, talk about strategies these drivers might have to take into race again, race after laps. We've seen a lot of strategies with drivers kind of pushing the issue. This could be one one of the few times that we see drivers maximizing their speeds and trying to make some big moves right on board with Tony Brent in the 28 machine, stuck in this kind of a cone and trapped on where to go. Not many places to be when you're on the inside lane. And Trevor, as a person that we know has driven in a lot of different leagues and a lot of different cars, what are you seeing that maybe is a little bit different from these Xfinity machines that we see from all the other traditional vehicles that we see here on Freaking Fast Broadcasting?
I mean, typically in the trucks, the next gen car, you can really push hard in those vehicles. And the Xfinity car, they don't line up that well, so pushing is going to be at a minimum. You can do it, you can get away with it down the back straightaway. In the corners, you got to be very careful about it. You can also see how much they're moving around in the draft. A lot of movement. You just got to be careful, when you're side by side with one another, not to get up into one another. Very easy to do. But right here on board with Tony Brent, I mean, the other thing, Sam, you can't see what's going on in front of you. So if there's a crash in front of you, you're hoping that you pick the right line when that smoke's going up and you get through it, because the visibility when you're tucked in a pack like this is very limited.
And also, I mean, vision is limited, and also seems to be a lot of drivers not feeling too comfortable. Is almost contact in our front row as the 4 of David McConnell has been looking very risky in the lead position, very much pinching Travis Dart at all moments and times. And it looks to be the most aggression is on the center off the corners. We're seeing these drivers really trying to maximize their speed. The 4 and the 42 on the outside lane. They've had some scares of almost mislining up and almost seeing a wreck up front. I think a lot of this field might be getting a little bit nervous on how these drivers are running as the 4 finally able to clear Travis Dart.
Yeah, finally gets clear. It looks like it was aggressive side drafting coming off the corner, trying to, pull the air off the 28 or the 26 there of Travis Dart. Oh, is it Medlin Chavez, the 55 involved, and more carnage going on in the tri-oval.
And a lot of the vehicles going to be down into the grass. No yellow is going to be thrown, as there's a lot of drivers piled up in this one, as there's no quick drivers on track that's going to be counting as oncoming traffic. No yellow is thrown. We continue to stay green, but a lot of drivers from about 13th on back, actually, you could say about 8th on back, drivers are no longer connected to this lead group. It's our top about 6 that are in line, still with a chance to win here for duel number 1. But a lot of drivers issues, majorly damaged, as Christopher Wade already had to take a toe to pit row. This is going to be our second major pack that you see on screen, being led by be having Philip Chavez and others trying to close in the best that they can. But man, that was a wild mess that just happened. And the craziest to see, no yellow was thrown as we're on lap number 7 of 15.
Yeah, no yellow. I mean, half the field, Sam, involved in that in the trial over there. It looked like just maybe a bad bump, a little bit of side drafting gone wrong there as the cars move around a lot and took out half the field. And right now, David McConnell, Tim Campbell, Cole Sacchetti leading that top line right now, trying to see what they can do. Is it's really now a 7-car breakaway up front.
And all these drivers up front, settle in and try to poise yourself to be up front. Is that also the comfort zone to be? Zach Hall and Andrew Medlin going to be in a good spot to work with one another. Also, McConnell and others looking pretty quick. This lead 7, anyone still has a chance to win duel number 1, and a great way to start out the season. Main reason why being up front is so crucial. There are points to be grabbed for the top 5 finishers of these duels. Everyone recognizing every point is going to be so crucial when you think about the playoffs and making it into the playoffs. And every single one of these drivers in the top 7 have a chance to go battle for a championship.
Yeah, they very much do. And right now, it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to work out. It's going to be an odd number if you try to, get that outside line going, the inside line going. And right now, Medlin's loose. He hangs on to it. A little bit of a side draft there from the 4 of McConnell. Got that 12 machine loose. And it's going to check him and Tony Brent up. But I think they're going to be able to hang on to this pack. And those top 3 now is just the 2 cars on the bottom. And these top 3, if Cameron Sargent stays up there, could really blow by these guys. But there goes Cole Sacchetti with a big block. And McConnell's going to get into the outside wall just a little bit.
I mean, we are seeing some aggression in drivers that want to be very aggressive right now, as the 4 side drafting and other drivers showing some aggressive blocking. I think 42, Cole Sacchetti willing to make some big moves. I don't think he was a fan of the way that some of these drivers were running. now everyone gets pulled back in. Top 7, thought maybe it was going to be your top 5 that could pull away. Not the case after that little bit of a shimmy. And now leading this race, it's Zach Hall, the driver that got 7 wins. And oh no, contact the 4 into the 24. And more drivers flipping and scattering. And that's the yellow for duel number 1, as it's the Texas Speed drivers getting the worst of it there. And it's the little dinky hits of drivers getting aggressive. And that is going to be our first official yellow of Season 5.
And again, could be, it looks like maybe just a case of another aggressive side draft from the 4. Gets into Cameron Sarton there and causes that issue. And that's going to be something that the drivers talk about in heat number 2 and going into this race in their team chats is, hey, we've got to watch out for that aggression there. And this could hurt the 4 later in the main race.
And hearing over the radio, the 4 saying felt like he got loose on the injury, which you don't really hear very often when you go to a super speedway track on drivers feeling loose on entry. It's usually a loose off the exit, but a quick little wreck. And luckily for all these drivers, again, top 5 get bonus points, but this is not the official race that you're wanting to get your maximum points. We still got the featured race later on that's going to be a 60-lap run, as this is going to be the first initial wreck that we saw a lot of drivers. This did not even bring out a yellow, and this was the wreck that really kind of scattered the field. But we're taking a couple of different looks at these incidences, and Trevor, kind of shocking to see that this was not what brought out the yellow initially, but this certainly did give a lot of drivers some scares.
I'm kind of at a loss for words. This didn't cause a caution. I mean, Philip Chavez up into the wall. See Chris Stitz there after contact with the 53 of Wade, sent him through the infield. But here's the one that caused a caution. You see the 28 there of Tony Brent flipping through the middle of 3 and 4. The 4 there of McConnell spinning to the inside wall. As we back this up and get a look at it here, and you can see Sam coming here into 3. It looks like maybe he got loose, just came down there into the 24 of Cameron Sarton and got him loose, set him up into the 28, the 12 of Medlin involved in it a little bit, but could very well have been a case of that 4 car getting loose on corner entry.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was so close to one another. Kind of surprised with there being 7 cars up front that they were running as aggressively as they were. You would think that they would just like give each other space and then attack with 2 laps to go. Instead, running like it was the last lap with 8 laps to go. And instead, we get a quick caution, brings back everyone that was initially caught up in that first big incident that took out over half of the field that's running in this first heat. I mean, in this first duel. And now we're going to be seeing what the drivers up front, how are they going to respond to this restart? Zach Hall still leading the way with Travis Dart, Cole Sketty, Andrew Medlin, and John Dart going to be your top 5. Drivers from 10th on back all came into pit road to get some type of service mended and fixed. Still in pit road after the first initial wreck. Chris Stitz required damage for the 17. Tony Brent looks to be done for this race, and Christopher Wade has called it a race for duel number 1. Expecting all those drivers to be back for the actual registered 60-lap featured event later on tonight that will give you the first race full points. And Trevor, I mean, a good little preview of what we could be seeing for those 60 laps. Was anything there that kind of surprised you during that run, or was that what kind of you were expecting from heat number 1?
I'd say that's about what I expected. I figured the aggression level would be high. It was some of the newer guys racing around some of the guys that have been here since season 1, trying to mix in, get a feel for one another. I think the side drafting aspect of it a little bit more aggressive than what I anticipated seeing in the first couple of laps. But I mean, you got a 15-lap heat to gain as many positions as you possibly can for a good starting spot going into the main race. So I got to be honest, it's kind of what I expected to see.
And drivers now getting prepared as they've been notified it's time to get ready for this race to finish out. As the field's getting ready, race control saying, hey, pit road's going to be closed. That's going to be around the white flag area when we're going to be seeing pit road closed. So drivers recognizing, all right, this could be one of your last times to get any service done. Space car lights are off. We're taking off this time by as Zach Hall, Travis Dart going to be your front row. And I think with no surprise, moving up once we lined up with his teammate of Andrew Medlin. And Zach Hall, Andrew Medlin, they're hoping for super speedway luck because this team's been quick when it comes to super speedway racing. But when it comes to the end of the race, it seems like the team kind of disintegrates and starts a big one at the end.
Yeah, they have a bad tendency to be really quick through the first, 90%, 95% of the race. It's the last 5% of the race where they kind of fall apart and tend to inflict some team casualties on one another. So hopefully they can get that cleaned up this season, get that taken care of. And I got to say, Andrew Medlin, very lucky to come out of that incident with hardly any damage. I think there's a little bit of damage to the right rear, but having that wreck in front of him and coming away fairly clean, lucky for him. And I think good news there for Zach Hall is I think those two are going to be tough to beat here in the last 3 laps or so.
That they certainly are. Other teammates that are in line with one another, watch out for the 5 machine and the 42. Cole Sketty, John Dart, they're going to be teammates. Going to be also seeing that of Andrew Medlin. I mean, excuse me, it's going to be the 5 machine. Going to be one of the drivers really to watch out for to tack off here at the end. But honestly, it's going to be an interesting way for this race to finish out. It's going to be a 3-lap shootout. Teamwork still going to be a factor. Do you want to line up with your teammates? Or would you like to just go for a win in the duel number 1? It's time to find out, where are your mindsets for this race as the pace car pulls off. Going to be seeing the duel number 1 back underway as we take off. Zach Hall, Travis Dart on the charge.
And Zach Hall with a good jump there. Kind of got split, though, from Andrew Medlin. This might give the opportunity to Travis Dart, Cole Sketty, if they can get lined up quick enough to get past that 32, as Zach Hall really jumping out in front of the field. But here comes Medlin trying to close in, but it's going to be that of Cole Sketty who gets to the rear bumper of the 26 of Travis Dart first. And you can see that momentum on the inside line building up as they blow by the 32 coming out of turn number 2.
And you can already see 2 distinct packs. Main reason why the lead group, a lot of drivers that were not involved with those 2 first wrecks, and the other drivers just wounded in trying to get the best finish they can as our top 7 all trying to pull away. Travis Dart, Cole Sketty, recognizing being up front is the key factor. I don't think anyone wants to work with Zach Hall or Andrew Medlin, as everyone's staying down low and hoping to maximize their speed as they come across the line. 2 laps to go in heat in that of duel number 1. Who's going to set up and be lined up where you want to be, up front, in the back? Make your choice now, because it is 2 laps to go.
It's going to be Jacob Grant in the 19, one of the other rookies that's going to jump up there in that top line, try to help the 32 and the 12 is Joshua Altus in the 94. I think just has a little bit too much damage, can't really close in on the pack to really give any assistance. So it's a 3-car breakaway top line, bottom line, as they're all side by side, our top 6, halfway down the back straightaway with Altus trying to do everything he can to close in on these lead pack.
But the big thing for Altus is with Jacob Grant being one of the newcomers of this league, at least it's a teammate for the 94 to work with. Who do you want to work with? Your teammate, or just place yourself in the best position possible as they come out at turn number 4. The white flag expected to be up for duel number 1. It's out in the air for the next level racing white flag. Zach Hall leading the charge on the outside lane, but Travis Dart hoping for a little bit more help. It's going to be a 3 versus 4. 3 drivers on the inside, 4 drivers on the outside. Which lane's going to find the speed? Whereas right now, it's the inside lane.
Here we come out of turn number 2. Zach Hall, Travis Dart, Cole Sketty, Andrew Medlin, the top 4. They're trying to push each lane out in front of one another. It's going to be Medlin trying to push Zach. Cole Sketty trying to push that of Travis Dart halfway. Altus is going to jump to the outside. He's going to make it 3 wide in turn number 3, looking to the outside of his teammate.
And right now, by a full car lane, Travis Dart having the better momentum. And I think that Altus move might have backfired on the outside lane. And it's going to be the 26, hoping for the best. But they're going to be 3 wide across the line. Who's winning duel number 1? And it looked to be Cole Sketty on the inside lane. The 42 stealing it by a nose. 5 thousandths of a second. And the 42 machine showing what drama can be held here at Daytona.
Good move there from Travis to go up and block the run from Zach Hall. I think it was a better push from that of John Dart to the back end of the 42 of Cole Sketty that got Sketty that a little bit of extra momentum to get by. But what a great finish there to duel number 1, and it's going to set us up for, I think, a very exciting duel number 2.
Certainly, duel number 2. I mean, we're going to be seeing a flip-flop. Either it's going to be less dramatic, we're not going to see any incidences, or it could blow up, and we could have a lot of wrecks. It's the 2 expectations I have for duel number 2. But duel 1, what a way to finish it out, and showing this could be a fun night to watch out for racing. Full Send Racing Series. Duel number 1 goes to the 42 of Cole Sketty as the rest of the field gets ready to line up for duel number 2. We're going to see if we can get those results for duel 1, though, so you can officially see the lineup on how all the drivers will stack up on the inside row for that of seeing our Daytona 1 150 here tonight, as it looks like we officially do not have duel number 1. We got duel number 2 about to get underway, though, as we're going to be seeing drivers setting up, gridding up on pit road. These drivers, where they finish is going to be where they line up on the outside lane for the start of our Daytona race this evening. As taking the pole award, you could say, for heat number 2. Duel number 2, it's going to be Ken Campbell in the 15. Brian McCann going to be in second, with third place Christopher Norris. Brandon Collins is going to be in fourth, with that of Dalton Alexander fifth. Sixth goes to Ross Tatum. Will Bustler seventh. Eighth, Nick Holland. The double zero going to be seeing that of Steven Bustler in ninth, and as well going to be Jonathan Burt in 10th position.
Noah Carter will be in 11th with Chris Stevens in 12th. Jonathan Woods will roll off in 13th with Christopher Melton in 14th. Alex Jones will be 15th with Tyler Thomas in 16th. Ryan Lynch 17th. Jonathan Matthews in 18th. Jay Becker able to get reconnected, and he'll start in 19th position with Cedric Hunter being the 20th driver in heat number 2.
20 drivers we had for heat number 1, 20 drivers for heat number 2, as the field is ready and set to go. After this heat is done, drivers will have a 2-minute cool down period where they're going to be able to do a little bit of practice before we get to our 60-lap run. So these drivers ready to get rolling as they're on the back stretch. Trevor, heat number 1 certainly had the flair. Heat number 2, you've been a driver that's been sitting out there watching that first heat. What do you think these drivers are thinking here in this second duel on how to prepare for this run?
I'm thinking they're going to be. I'm thinking they're going to be equally as aggressive. I don't know, but I'm thinking it's going to be equally as aggressive as why not? I mean, it's 15 laps. Try to get as good of a starting position as you can, and see what it's going to be like to race out there with all these guys when you get into the main race.
Main race again, 60 laps later on. This race, 15 laps is the distance for duel number 2. Ken Campbell, Brian McCann really showed out last week during our Clash race. Was one of the highest finishing rookies, and I'm excited to see what the 8 machine is going to have once we get away from the super speedway racing and more of the skillful tracks. But tonight, it's about friendships, it's about finding allies, maybe a little bit of rivalries, as we're back to green flag action here tonight. It's the start of duel number 2, as Ken Campbell, Brian McCann send us down into turn number 1.
And it's McCann who's going to have the good push there from the 99 of Brandon Colley, as those two got lined up real quick, but it's going to be Campbell with the help of his teammate now, Christopher Norris, in the 38. As those two get lined up, you see that momentum on the inside line starts to surge back as the top 4, top 6. Basically, the whole field's still side by side as they head out of turn number 2, with Campbell with a little bit of advantage as they exit turn number 2.
He's hoping for a little bit more of a push from the 38 machine teammates in line, and Campbell and Christopher Norris. Norris, who was a fill-in driver in the 38 machine, now full-time driving, as they're seeing already contact. McCann wasn't clear, came down right in front of the lead group on the inside lane, and Ken Campbell holding on, drifting, doing a little bit of a Kyle Busch impression, and the 15 holds on somehow, and we stay green.
What a save there from Ken Campbell, but I mean, that's going to hurt him. It breaks up the field just a little bit, and he's going to drop all the way almost to the end of the pack there and have to regain his momentum. I think it was Brandon Colley that might have come down thinking he was clear. They got into the 90 or got into the 15 of Ken Campbell back up front. It's going to be Colley now side by side with the 8 of McCann, with the 21 of Ross Tatum, and I believe it's going to be the is it Jonathan Burt in the 6th in that second position on the inside line?
That is going to be seeing Jonathan Burt trying to help out on the inside line at the 6th machine, hoping to give a little bit more speed, as he's giving all the help to the 8. Christopher Norris now has to find new allies to work with. The inside lane looking strong. The outside lane, though, it's got some fast competitors up there as well. You got Brandon Colley, a rookie driver, but also having the Season 3 champion, Ross Tatum, back in the car that he won his championship in. The 21, second car on the outside. He's excited for what this season's going to bring.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how Ross is going to perform in that back here in the Xfinity car. Like you said, got that championship in, so exciting to see what he's going to do as he gets really close there to the 38 of Christopher Norris as they exit turn number 2. It's actually going to check up the outside line just a little bit. They're going to be 3 wide halfway down the back straightaway with the 93, the 37, and the 13 of Nick Holland there as they get it sorted out. But that top line lost a lot of momentum there, Sam, halfway down the backstretch.
Yeah, it was everyone checking up immediately, recognizing, hey, we could be seeing this front row having some major troubles after a bad bump from the 21 to the rear end of the 99, and luckily they scatter, give each other plenty of space, and Still a little bit of 3 wide action deeper in this lead group. So you want to give note of seeing these drivers that are all still connected in the draft. Ken Campbell, we thought was going to be completely lost in the run, technically still attached. He's got help from John Matthews behind him in the 64. As you see this group of 2 trying to find their way to close in to this lead pack.
Yeah, just trying everything they can. All it takes is one little checkup. They're pretty close here down the back straightaway. A couple car links off of that of the cars in front of them, and I think they're actually going to catch up to this lead pack here once they exit turn number 4. So good job there from the 64 of Matthews pushing the 15 to Ken Campbell back up to this pack. Is now our top. It's basically all 20 cars underneath the blanket here as they exit turn number 4.
And leading the outside lane, 2 drivers. I'm excited for the team as a whole. I'm looking to bring out here tonight. That is Texas Speed, being led by Jonathan Burt in the 6, the 11 of Tyler Thomas. Also going to be on the outside, 38 of Dalton Alexander. The 38 machine, usually one of the faster drivers of that team to watch out for week in and week out. But right now, seeing the 6 and the 11, just need a little bit more help as that inside lane, just too much power. Christopher Norris is just pushing the inside lane with all of his will and power and just completely gapping that outside group.
I gotta say, Christopher Norris has turned into a really good super speedway driver. Here when he was filling in last season in the trucks and in other leagues we cover, he does really well at the super speedway. So not surprised to see him pushing that inside line as good as he is. And I think that's gonna be one car we got to watch out for all night long is Texas Speed guys on that top line trying to get things going. With the 11 and the 6, and with help from the Brandon Colley and the 99, just cannot seem to close that gap on our top 2 as Norris continues to push the 8 of McCann further out in front.
McCann still feeling good up front. If you win this duel, you find yourself starting in 2nd place. All these drivers, once we go green for a featured race later on, this entire group of drivers you see on screen are going to be on the outside lane once we get gridded up for the race. As the outside lane, not the most preferred place to be. I think a lot of drivers like the inside group, unless you're someone who likes to get aggressive. Then the outside lane's where you like to be. Is this whole entire pack starting to see a little bit of aggression mounting up in the middle pack. A lot of side drafting, kind of surprising to see drivers in the middle of the pack, and others just waiting to pounce as we've got ourselves 9 laps to go here tonight.
It was almost a little bit of 3 wide action back there with the 37 of Dalton Alexander and the 00 of Stephen Bustler, as they almost got 3 wide through the travel, but got that sorted out. And now the stop line kind of wiggling around a little bit, but it's going to be the 21 of Ross Tatum. It's going to be put 3 wide with the 14 of Chris Stevens. That's going to make that a 3 wide down the back straightaway as they head into 3 and 4, and still going to be 3 wide. As it looks like Tatum just trying to bail out of this league group, maybe not feeling as comfortable as he was earlier.
And seeing some drivers trying to get in line with that 21 machine, but it was the 2 of Jonathan Woods. He's actually stuck in the back of this group, 3rd car behind Ross Tatum. And the 2 machine, another driver to watch out for. We talked about Andrew Medlin in duel number 1 being a past winner of this Daytona race. The other past winner that's going to be running in this Daytona 150, that will be Jonathan Woods in the 2, as see if he's going to finally be able to find an opening, but just not enough space. Christopher Melton is just holding them up as they'll go 3 wide. Cedric Hunter says, I'll take this opening. And the 7, very aggressive move by the pink machine.
Yeah, very aggressive move there from Cedric Hunter as he goes 3 wide. There's still going to be 3 wide with Christopher Melton in the 10 down there. That's going to be that of, I believe, Jay Becker down there in the 10. There's still going to be 3 wide. Stephen Butler now. But it looks like now it's going to be Dalton Alexander jumping up to the top with help from Cedric Hunter and Ross Tatum. They're going to try to get that 3rd line work.
That is a strong pair of drivers, making a group of 3 with Ross Tatum following in suit. If they can keep this opening, they're going to be a strong group that can carry forward. But Texas Speed say, oh, one of our drivers is moving to the top lane. We'll follow as well, as now it's 3 Texas Speed drivers in line, almost 4, as they're going to be having Noah C. Carter also in the mix. It's the middle group, looking to have the most speed, as Brandon Colley hoping to get forward just a little bit more, but Chris Stevens not close enough to the back bumper of the 99, as they are losing ground once again, as we're closing in on 6 laps to go in duel number 2.
Yeah, that outside line, once the 6 and the 11 both jumped up there, kind of died out. Oh, it's contact. Colley's in the wall. The 45 goes spinning. The 13's involved, and they scatter and no caution right now.
No caution. Drivers will go to the apron and coming to a halt, but no oncoming traffic. That's the 6 of Jonathan Burt who's going to be getting that driver completely scattered and wrecked out. Another driver that had to go into pit road for a quick second was the 13 of Nick Holland. Ken Campbell losing the draft. We got a huge group of drivers from 11th on back losing the draft. And now it's down to 10 drivers. Who's going to win here in duel number 2? Another kind of situation we saw in that first duel, Trevor, of a big scatter, big wreck, no yellow comes out. And that's got to be a worry once we get to the featured race after this.
Yeah, it's got to be a worry for these drivers, and about the same time as it happened in that of duel number 1. But I mean, that's the thing here about Daytona. You can have a wreck like that, and if cars get off the racing line quick enough and nobody's sideways in front of oncoming traffic, there's going to be no caution. So something you might have to be mindful of when we get into that 60-lap main race here. But right now, it's going to be that of about a 10-car breakaway up here at the front of the field.
Penalty going to be given to Nick Holland as he'll have to come into pit road to serve that penalty. But this lead group, 2 drivers that are lined up with one another on the outside, the 1 and the 00. We got the Bustlers in line. How are they going to react? Coming to the end of this line, 5, soon to be 4 laps to go. Love to see the siblings coming out and racing. We had John and Travis Dart running last. I mean, they are the founders of this series. But seeing another pair of brothers running out on track is always a joy to see.
Yeah, it's always a joy to see, brothers get involved in the rivalry that might come with it. But who knows, they might work really well together. Here's they're lined up on the outside line behind that of the Noah Carter there in the 83. I think the lone surviving Texas speed car from that group of, I believe that was 4 a couple laps ago. He's now the lone survivor trying to get up there and win this duel number 2.
And just like what we saw from his teammate of the 4 of David McConnell, from duel number 1. Aggressive side drafting on the outside to the inside lane. Got to be careful as any contact could bring out a yellow that could send us into overtime in duel number 2. And Noah C. Carter and Texas Speed, if you've been watching us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, you've heard these names before in our charity races. You think back to February when we ran our Daytona 500. Noah C. Carter was one of the favorites to win that race. Wasn't able to get the team across the line first, but he was up front and a fast driver to watch out for here tonight.
Yeah, they ran really good in that charity race as a team. Just had some bad luck there at the end, so not at all surprised to see them up front, especially Noah Carter there. He's now going to be side by side with the 8 of McCann here through 3 and 4 with help from Will Bustler in the 1. Christopher Norris still trying to do everything he can to push that 8 clears. We're going to be coming to 2 to go here in duel number 2.
2 laps to go. Who's going to have the better assistance? Christopher Norris has shown that he's got the speed, but it looks to be the 14 of Chris Stevens just not comfortable to get right on the back bumper of the driver in front of him. And that little pocket of air that you're seeing on the inside lane, that could be the crucial spot that could hurt the inside lane. At the outside, though, they're kind of spacing out. Not enough grouping with 2 laps to go. Might be trying to save a little bit of their engine for that last push on the white flag.
That's going to be so you can get lined up here really well with one another on the white flag lap. Who can give the shove? Will that top line with the Bustlers, Ross Stanton in 21, will they be able to help the 83 of Noah Carter? Will Norris make a move with maybe help from the 14 to see, and the 10 of Jay Becker to see if he can get by the 8 of Noah Carter? What's going to happen here is they come out of 4, coming to the white flag.
Coming across the line, a white flag is in the air. Didn't need a yellow flag to come out as drivers bumping a bad bump to the inside lane. Is that your next level racing white flag for duel number 2? This is the setup, the outside lane for Daytona 150 presented by REG Customs. And the inside lane looks to be a lot more compact, but watch out for the 1. Will Bustler back to give a huge surge to Noah Carter. No, huge blocks and bumps all around. It's going to be a little bit of a stack 4 wide for a quick second. Christopher Norris late block to the inside. They're stacking up behind. This is going to get a little bit scary on the inside lane. Can they find a good distance? Because Christopher Norris looks to be finding any way to get by this 8 machine. Norris, McCann, going to be lined up for now. The 38 is hoping for a good run. They're wrecking behind. It's just between these 2. Norris hoping for the run. Side by side across the line. Norris, 2 races. 0.005 of a second difference for both.
What a move there by Christopher Norris. Carnage behind him coming through the tri-oval as cars got together. But Norris with a great time move there to the outside of the 8 of Brian McCann. A little bit of side draft to the line, and Norris going to get it done here in heat number 2. And Sam, that's going to set that's 2 exciting finishes. I'm thinking we're going to get the same here when we get to that 60-lap main race.
I have never seen two duels finish with the exact same gap between first and second before. Both 5 thousandths of a second, both incredible runs, and that will be duel 1 and 2 in the books. And for us, we're going to take a quick break. Hopefully, you can get a little bit of a snack, go to the bathroom, get prepared. We got 60 laps, the official start of Season 5, Race 1 about to be underway. The Full Send Racing Series Xfinity car ready to give you the action for the Daytona 150 presented by REG Customs. Hopefully you're ready. We'll be back right after this for more racing action. Following, they're wrecking, they're splitting, and it's a complete mayhem.
We have a wreck at the front. 19 goes down into the 7, takes out the double zero.
They're 5 wide behind for fifth. Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work, is it? They're already wrecking into entry turn 1, and now coming through that of turn 2. This is it, the Daytona. Oh no, they're wrecking contact. Zeds gets into the wall, gonna be scattering on the outside. Drivers on the apron, drivers coming out of nowhere. Edison on the outside, trying to get the win. And it's William Edison stealing it at the line.
Into the wall, the 18 trying to block. 77 get into the 18. That leaves 3 of TJ Roberts, 17 to Gavin Rogers. 3 of TJ Roberts is gonna steal the win here.
What second fiddle so many times last season, Christopher Wade wins the Season 5 Daytona 200. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Full Send Racing Series. Tonight, you're going to be watching the Xfinity cars tackling Season 5 for Race 1 at Daytona. You got to see some incredible racing. Both the dual races finished at 5 thousandths of a second, being the gap between first and second place. And both of the lead drivers that took the white flag were passed coming to the line. So watch out. This should be an entertaining one here tonight. Sorry, we do not have the official grid to show up on screen, but we'll give you the verbal rundown of where the drivers are starting here tonight for the Daytona 150 presented by REG Customs. Taking the wins from both duels, taking the pole is Cole Sacchetti and Christopher Norris, as those are going to be your front row. Row 2 is going to be Travis Dart, Ryan McCann, Zach Hall going to be back in row 3 with Jay Becker, and row number 4 in 7th and 8th place, it's Andrew Medlin and John Matthews. In 9th and 10th position, it's Stephen Bustler and John Dart and Stephen Bustler.
It's going to be Jacob Grant in that of 11th with Christopher Melton. In 12th, Joshua Altus will roll off in 13th with Will Bustler. In 14th, David McConnell will be in 15th with Ross Tatum to his outside in 16th. Trey Jackson will roll off 17th with Cedric Hunter. In 18th, Doug Pierce and Ryan Lynch will be your top 20 drivers tonight.
Then in 21st position, it's going to be Peter Dillon, Dalton Alexander in 22nd spot, Ryan Wilson in 23rd, Nick Holland 24th, Harrison Gerwitz going to be in 25th with Ken Campbell in 26th position, Curtis Vlečka going to be in 27th, Noah C. Carter in 28th, 29th is going to be Cameron Sarton, and in 30th, it's Chris M. Stevens.
31st will be Philip Chavez. 32nd will be Alex Jones. William Duff will be in 33rd. Tyler Thomas in 34th. Chris Stitz, 35th. Brandon Collier roll off in 36th with Tony Brent in 37th. Jonathan Woods, 38th. Christopher Wade, 39th. And Jonathan Burt will round out our 40 cars here tonight.
And as we take a deep breath, we get ready for the race. That is your 40-car field here tonight to start out Season 5, the Daytona 150 presented by REG Customs. Thank you for sponsoring today's race as well. Big thank you to Next Level Racing, ButtKicker, also Grand Sim Studios for being major sponsors here for the Full Send Racing Series. Hopefully you're ready. It's the start of a new season. Green flag is out in the air. Cole Sacchetti, Christopher Norris, they are going to be watching out how Andrew Medlin, Ken Campbell take the charge down into turn number 1.
Yeah, Andrew Medlin, Ken Campbell, like, from qualifying, gets the pole. It's going to be Cole Sacchetti, Christopher Norris that are going to start second and third after winning their heat races. So they're going to be lined up behind, and it's going to be the teammates on that top line. Actually, top 3 are teammates with Medlin, Campbell, and Norris. They're going to try to get lined up here really quick, and we already one car there going to be ducking out of line to go to the back of the field.
Travis Dart wanted to get those good bonus points for himself, but he'd be sent to the tail end of the line because he's trying to get out of the way. Survival is going to be the key, and for this race, 60 laps is the distance. Fuel, though, it's going to be the most interesting thing to watch out for. Andrew Medlin going to be seeing how he's focusing in the 12 machine, hoping to find some consistency up front as he's got teammates in line. The one driver they're missing is Zach Hall. That's just got a 1-car buffer in between them. That's Cole Sacchetti in the 42 that's holding off the full team from getting in line with one another. But I gotta say, Trevor, this is gonna be one of the more interesting things to watch out for, because that group that just fell back, they could be in a major fuel-saving mentality, while this group up front is thinking about turning this race into a one-stop.
Yeah, they very well could be. I mean, we do have a stage break at lap 15 for these drivers, but just interesting call from those guys to drop back. But it's something we see a lot here coming to these super speedway races where half the field will drop back, run on a different line, and it could be a fuel-saving thing. Could be, hey, we just want to stay out of the trouble and keep our cars alive. Is like we mentioned in the duel races, there is no fast repair here tonight for these guys.
Yeah, no fast repair going to be a major thing to watch out for. And, you know, crazy to think that some of these drivers are backing off as much as they are. But those are the different strategies you always have in mind. Some are always aiming to maximize in points. Others are thinking about survival until the end of the race. As you see the field, it's all side by side from about first all the way back to almost 20th position is the field just stacking and waiting for when they'll take off. First driver that's just by himself is Ryan Lynch, who really is just settling in on the outside. Got to be feeling comfortable where he's at right now. But are you fully confident and comfortable, Trevor, if you're stuck in that middle?
That's the key question. Do you feel comfortable running in the middle? It's kind of where we see the pack have issues. As Cedric Hunter's going to be pull out in the 7. He's going to go down pit road, and that's going to be an early pit stop from the 7 of Cedric Hunter. An interesting call as he's the only car coming down pit road.
Trying to figure out what exactly would be the reasoning for the 7 coming to pit road. We were not seeing any penalty or a black flag just coming into pit road, getting service done. I believe also there were talks of some drivers going to be doing some start and park action throughout the season. Could be the 7 deciding to do a start and park here tonight as we bounce back up to the lead group. It's Ryan McCann, Ken Campbell battling side by side, and Jay Becker going to be the 10 machine. Had a little bit of a scare coming to the end of heat of dummy duel number 2, but able to show that he's got some speed underneath this 10 machine. And a lot of these drivers up front, it's going to be a good learning curve of who is stable and who's maybe a little bit reckless being up front.
Yeah, it's going to be a good lesson for everybody to figure out, as it looks like Cedric Hunter is going to be one of those start and park drivers here tonight, as he has left the session and called it a night in that 7 machine. But you're going to have McCann up there. We saw how good he was at the clash last week at IRP. You got the 10 of Jay Becker right there, the 64 of John Matthews, as well as the 19 of Jacob Grant, all new drivers leading that top line. So good experience for them to get up here and mix it up with the guys that have been here for the last 4 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, the last 4 seasons, the last couple of seasons, drivers getting their first taste of what it's like to be running full time for others. I mean, we touched on it with Christopher Norris, that 38 was officially a part-time driver for all of last season, and now is going to be running full time. Excited to see that 38 is going to be more than see the rookie class that is running up front, looking so strong on the outside lane. This is impressive to see as 4 rookies all on the outside lane that's leading that top group.
Yeah, it's really impressive to see them doing that and doing a really good job. They've looked really smooth. We saw in the duels how easy it was to maybe get a little too aggressive with the side draft. Saw the cars be a little bit loose on corner entry a couple times, so doing a really good job holding on to those. Joshua Altus in the 94, he's going to be the lone, you know, old old guy up there, the old guard in that top line right now. But he's got the one of Wood Hustle behind him as they try to make that outside line work. Just haven't got really hooked up enough to clear that inside line, led by Ken Campbell and Christopher Norris.
Talking about how different vehicles, how they run the track, how different it is. Kind of interesting to see how this car really isn't allowing a lot of movement. I'm seeing a lot of stable vehicles. It's more of seeing a mistake more than taking advantage with just a major run that you get, which is kind of odd when we've been seeing here on Freaking Broadcasting a lot of next gen. We've seen the Gen 4 cars and as well the trucks a lot. This is one of the few times we get to see Xfinity cars on Freaking Fast Broadcasting. And such a different aero package these drivers are running here tonight compared to those other series.
Yeah, the bubble effect is really much more in play in the Xfinity car, and you can break the bubble and get to the rear bumper and push the guy in front of you, but you want to kind of stay in that bubble, use that air to push the car out in front of you and build that momentum up and kind of see. We've seen that, and what happens when you break that bubble, we've seen the bumps that can cause incidents and cause cars to scatter. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys play with that throughout the course of the night.
Last time these drivers were running here at Daytona in this car was all the way back in season 3. The finish of that race had an incredible finish that actually was a 6,000th of a second finish, where William Edison found himself getting into victory lane and an incredible scattering of drivers wrecking and coming across the line. I mean, just with the finishes we saw at the duels here tonight, showing this is going to be one of the more entertaining finishes that we are hoping to see if there's opportunity to make some big moves. It's Ken Campbell as well as Brian McCann, still the lead drivers, the lead pack, all in line. Most of the field still attached in the draft, except for a small grouping of drivers. We got a group of 3 that fell off immediately. That's going to be all the way back in 36th position. Travis Dart, Doug Pierce, Little Chavez, grouping of 3 drivers that are 17 seconds off the leaders. And this is a group that we saw lap 1 immediately drop to the apron, and they seem to be all right with not battling with the front pack.
Yeah, teammates. All 3 of those guys teammates. So just like, hey, we're just going to drop to the back, take it easy and save some fuel and get to the. I think they're playing here saying maybe just to get to that stage at lap 15, keep the car in one piece, and then go from there and see what's going to happen.
Trouble, middle of the pack, 15th position. Going to be seeing issues, and that's going to be Christopher Melton getting spun around, and the pack collisions with drivers piling in late. No way to slow down, and it was just some bad bumps battling for drivers in the top 15 that initiated all of that.
Yeah, I saw Cameron Sarton through the grass, the 5 of John Dart, the 99 of Brandon Cawley through there. A lot of cars involved in that. I think some guys getting through that with no damage, but you can see some cars still trying to get back out on track, and our first caution here of the night.
And a lot of that damage starting off with drivers trying to go 3 wide. It's going to be Texas speed. You're seeing a pinball of Christopher Melton that initiated that contact and carnage to initiate, as drivers that were caught up in that mess require damage. Going to be for William that of Duff, who's going to be involved with this. But here's what brought out our first official caution of tonight's race. Just a little bit of bad side drafting of the 37 into the 93 that gets Melton a little bit loose. But then it's going to be seen, they believe that's the 6 that's going to be right behind him. That makes contact and ruffles up the 14. It comes right back up into Melton, and the rest of the field tries to scatter to get by the spinning 93.
Yeah, just nowhere to go for the rest of the field. The 91 there of, I believe that's Harris Gerwitz involved in that. The 99 of Brandon Cawley gets into the back of him going through the grass, and just nowhere for the rest of the field to go as they pile in. I believe that's the 77's involved. Chris Stitz in the 17 was in it. The 2 of Jonathan Woods also involved in that, as more cars just try to get stopped and slowed up. But Sam, that's the issue with being in the middle of the pack like that. You get a wreck like that, and there's just nowhere for those guys to go.
There really isn't, and everyone's just trying to find their way through and some grabbing damage that they really didn't want to grab as Chris Stitz, one of our favorites coming into this season, 17, finding early troubles. You see that heavy damage on the rear end. Now, this is something that I'm curious to see what damage repair some of these drivers can handle with. A lot of that contact really wasn't as bad as I really was expecting it to be with the amount of scattering that happened. So big kudos on most of the field to get through that mess the way that they did. But now it's time for the crew members to get the hammers out and hope that you can fix up these machines, as the one driver that's most likely going to be done out of that wreck is the 77, a William Duff, that has required damage.
Yeah, I think Duff got the worst of it when I'm not sure which car it was. I think it was the 93 of Chris Melton that was sitting there in the middle of the trioval, and Duff just had nowhere to go. Got into him, took the 2 of Jonathan Woods with him. Kind of came off with the worst for wear and all that, but it's the front end damage I think that these guys got to worry about the most. If you have RPMs, max RPM, you should be fine. It's gonna be that front end aero damage that could really hurt these guys later on in the race.
That it could, as currently drivers getting some service done. Some actually just coming into pit road, getting 4 tires and fuel. All coming into pit road was drivers from that of 23rd position on back, getting service done. It was from 32nd position to 39th position where drivers were getting a lot more damage repair on top of fuel and getting some fuel and as well some repairs. But the time into this yellow, it does not help these drivers. I actually just missed on that note, Trevor, when you brought it up. Stage break at lap 15 for these drivers. So when we go back to Green Flag Racing, it's going to be practically a 3-lap shootout on who's going to be in the top 10 to get bonus points. We're going to be seeing another big wreck with the intense driving of drivers trying to maximize their bonus points before we get to that final push of who's going to win here tonight.
Yeah, we could see another incident with that stage break. I mean, it's going to be a, like you said, 3-lap shootout for those guys to get to lap 15. And those stage points, I mean, we've seen how important they can be, especially when we get to those cutoff races at the end of the regular season before going into the playoffs. So these points that you grab here could be beneficial for you when we get to the end of the regular season.
And drivers are trying to get some clarification on information as we're getting the field set up side by side. Going to be having that of Brian McCann lining up with the 10 of Jay Backard on the inside. Ken Campbell's going to be lined up with his teammate of Christopher Norris up front. I'm curious, though, who behind our top 10 might try to go for a massive surge to get into the top 10 or try to go for a top 5 finish at our stage break, because it's going to be a 3-lap shootout when we get back to Green Flag Racing. Trevor, I'm just expecting a big one at this point. Some of the aggression we've seen here tonight.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. We saw it in the heat races, the duel races. We saw it, there. I mean, we were only that of 9 laps in to a 60-lap race. Granted, I mean, it is a short race, but we've already seen the aggression in here for those stage points. We could see it kick off again, and look out for that of David McConnell, Tyler Thomas, Jonathan Burt, the 3 Texas speed guys, all there 10th, 11th, and 12th. You have Ryan Lynch, Alex Jones, Harris Gerwitz, who survived that wreck. He's got a little bit of damage. Nick Holland, Tony Grant. I mean, all those guys are going to be looking to get inside that top 10 to get some stage points.
And currently our biggest mover of the race, starting all the way back in last position, it's going to be Jonathan Burt, up 28 spots back in 12th position, trying to move up with his teammate of Tyler Thomas. Both of them are being the biggest movers of the race. Pace car is off. It's time to get back to racing action. Stage break at the end of lap 15. Top 10 drivers get bonus points. Let's see who's going to grab those bonus points here tonight as Brian McCann takes off. He's already got a 2-car length lead over the 10 machine of Burke. That was an incredible launch, but here comes the backfire, though.
Yeah, it's not what you want here at Super Speedways when you get a big launch like that, because you're going to be a sitting duck, and right now it's going to be Ken Campbell, Christopher Norris, the 12 of Andrew Medlin. They're going to have all the momentum in the world coming out of turn number 2. But Jade Becker gets to the rear end of that of Brian McCann, but it's not going to be enough, as there goes the 15, the 38, and Medlin might be able to clear of the 8 in the 10 machine.
And McCann hoping to find a little bit of help, and honestly, this whole entire grouping of around our top, I would say 13 drivers. This could get very messy very quickly if you are not careful with the gaps in the run. Some of these drivers are going to be building up. They're going to be trying to hold on the best that they can, as it's freaky fast racing. 1, 2, 3, as pit road is officially closed. If you come into pit road now, you're going to find yourself with a penalty. And here comes Brian McCann having the surge on the inside, and Ken Campbell recognizing and blocking and defending at this point.
Yeah, good block there to come down, block the momentum from the 8 machine. He's going to get a little bit of a help, but it's going to be that outside line. See if Christopher Norris, with the help of Andrew Medlin, can do anything. They don't have a lot of help from the incentive Jay Becker, but he's going to have a run way down the back straightaway. They're going to be 3 wide behind him, as here comes the 4 of McConnell with help from, I believe it's going to be the 6 of Jonathan Burt, as they're looking to go 3 wide with the 64, but they back out of it thinking better of it.
Great back off move, but honestly, you're looking terrifying. The 4 does not look comfortable in where he's at. And up front, they're getting the white flag of the stage. Next, either caution of a wreck, or once our top 10 cross the line, that will be the stage for these drivers up front. It's your final time to make some big moves if you haven't finished, if you're not inside of the top 10 just yet. Up front, though, Ken Campbell, as well as Christopher Norris, teammates, hoping to just lock out the front row on this next restart, as they're going to be side by side heading the backstretch.
Yeah, it's going to be side by side. This is top 6, top 7, top 10, all side by side. A big bump from the 6 of Burt to the 4 of McConnell is going to get him a little bit loose. They're going to be 3 wide with Zach Hall and the 64 machine of John Matthews. They're going to be 3 wide going into 3 and 4, but it's still going to be up front. The teammates side drafting one another, coming out of 4 to see who's going to get this stage win.
Side by side, who's going to get maximized with those 10 bonus points? And across the line, side by side, and once again, and it's Christopher Norris as the stage yellow comes out. And Norris, by 15 thousandths of a second, will find himself getting the stage bonus points, maxing out from his duel win and duel 2. And now the stage and leading the lap. It's 38. It's got to be feeling good as he gets the stage. I mean, Trevor, these drivers certainly know how to put on a show when it comes to crunch time at the end.
They really do. I mean, that's 3 great finishes. And if that tells you anything, I think that means we need a 15-lap run to the end with everything being about 15 laps and these finishes that we've gotten. So who knows? Maybe we'll get that. But Sam, I got to say, I was a little bit worried there coming to that stage break with the 4 of McConnell and Burt and Tyler Thomas. They looked really aggressive there and almost a little bit of contact with the 64 of John Matthews. And that could have been huge because it almost got involved with our last season's champ of Zach Hall.
Yeah, I mean, they look in control, but wildly in control, it looks like, for those Texas Speed drivers, as you never know what you're going to find. The field slowing up, letting the pace car catch up on by. They will be going into pit road this go-around. We'll talk to our stage winner once they're done with pit stops, as with this stage, going to be Christopher Norris maxing out on his stage points. Ken Campbell 2nd, Andrew Medlin 3rd. 4th goes to Brian McCann. Jay Becker gets 5th. Jacob Grant in 6th, Zach Hall 7th, John Matthews 8th, 9th goes to Cole Sketty, and David McConnell in the 4th, taking away your top 10 stage bonus points. Pit road, here we go. Who's going to have a clean stop? Because you can lose a lot and gain a lot by a great pit stop.
It's going to be interesting. Is it going to be 4 tires, 2 tires? What the strategy is going to be here? I think for a lot of guys, it's going to be, you got to fill it up, so you might as well take 4, but we'll have to wait and see. Can't slide through your box. That's another thing we've seen a lot at the super speedways, is drivers sliding through their box, losing some time, but everybody looks like they're in fairly cleanly, as Norris looks like a 2-tire stop for him, as he's going to leave. He's going to get beat out by the 8 of Brian McCann.
Brian McCann looking like it's fuel only for the 8 machine. Going to be a couple of tires for Christopher Norris, Ken Campbell, and a lot of drivers deciding to just take fuel or 2 tires on that stop. We had a grouping of 5, risk it a little bit more than others. Not coming into pit road. They came in about that on our last yellow before the stage break. That's Will Bustler, Joshua Altus, Christopher Wade, as well as Ross Tatum and Steven Bustler getting service done beforehand. Crazy to see how they want to stack it up. And after pit stops are done, let's talk to our stage winner, get his thoughts on how this run went down. Christopher Norris, on how he's feeling. 38 machine to Christopher Norris. It's Sam and Trevor up the booth. You got us?
Yeah, got you guys.
Hey, Chris, you come away with the stage win. 2 spectacular passes late in these runs with your dual win, then there at the stage. How are you feeling? How's this car feeling? Because you look fast.
Yeah, definitely feels a little bit different. I'm used to it being kind of tight and not as wiggly, but this thing is tight on the wheel, but it's kind of loose on the track. So a little bit scared for the rest of the race, but if we just keep it smooth and straight, we got it.
I mean, Norris, we saw you working well there with your teammates of Ken Campbell and Andrew Medlin. Zach Hall wasn't able to get up with you there in the stage, but how important is it going to be to have your teammates for the rest of this race?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have won the stage without him because Ken's call to go down to the bottom, of course, got us in a good position for 1, 2, and I mean, yeah, 1, 2, and 3. So that's good points for us. And I think as long as we have the good teamwork and the pit stop strategy, we might be able to come away with the win.
And win is what everyone's searching for. Chris, I was looking at it. There's going to be a 1 pit stop before this race is done. What is the worries for that pit stop? Are you guys feeling pretty confident as a team?
Well, with that heat races, I think we should be okay with pit stops. As long as we have a good crew and no one overshoots, pit road and doesn't speed and doesn't spin out, I think we're fine. Pit boxes are spread out, so no worries about that. So as long as we don't have any interference by other drivers making mistakes, I think we got it.
Sounds good. Well, we'll send you back to your team, and good luck for the rest of the night.
Thank you.
That is the 38 machine of Christopher Norris from Freaky Fast Racing, winner of our stage. He's going to have to work his way forward, starting 7 instead of the front row where he was at the initial start of this race. But leading on this restart, going to be seeing that of Joshua Altus, Will Bustler, going to be the front 2, Ross Tatum, Christopher Wade, as well as Stephen Bustler, going to be the 5 drivers that did not come to pit road. Interesting call by all 5 of those drivers, but I think a good one on all their parts to get that track position back.
And they all pit when we had that caution on lap 10, so you only ran 5 laps to come down. And hey, it might work into their strategy that they have long term for this race. So, and track position is going to be very important for these guys. So it's working out well for them. We're going to have to see how well they can fend off the 8 of McCann, Norris, Campbell, Becker, Medlin, and those guys who've looked really fast all night long. But a little bit of a mix up here at the front. This could spice things up, Sam.
It really could. Also, you have been seeing on our middle bottom third of images popping up, giving you information of penalties being cleared, and as well, plenty of other great information on how behind the scenes is being ran. That's going to be Steve Benjamin, who we want to give a huge shout out to, running race control here tonight, kind of facilitating the drivers if mishaps happen. So a huge shout out to race control this evening, and also giving us the great information to allow you, the audience, to see what's going on. Well, the stage is done. The duels are done. It's time to find out who's winning the Daytona 150 presented by REG Customs. We're back to green flag action. Will Bustler, Joshua Altus side by side as we roar down into turn number 1.
Yeah, and Christopher Wade not close enough to really help the 94 of Altus. It's going to be Bustler, Tatum that are really lined up well here on the outside line. But here comes the inside line of that of Wade, Stephen Bustler in the 00, the 38 of Norris, our stage winner, trying to get caught up here as they're going to all be side by side as the runs have equaled out with one another, and side by side down the back straightaway.
Hopping on board, ready. Actually behind the 21 Brian McCann, so fast at IRP last week at the Flash, showing to be one of the bigger threats to watch out for a championship. And here tonight looked to be just as fast when he's a lead driver. Now it's time to see, what does McCann have on getting by drivers in front of him? Does he just settle in and watch our Season 3 champion in front in that Sprite's 21 machine?
It's going to be interesting to see what he does. I mean, coming to 41 to go, I mean, this race is going to fly by for these drivers. So you've got to start working your way up, making your friends, figuring out what you're going to do to get by one another. And I believe we're going to have a pit stop before the end of this if this thing goes green. So that can really change things up, as well as that inside line has a little bit more momentum with the help from the 53 pushing the 94 out there. But he's got to be careful. He's gotten away from that 53 just a little bit. Here comes that top line with the run halfway down the back straightaway.
Yeah, the fuel run for these drivers here tonight looking to be around 27 to 30 laps based on how much you are saving fuel. So these drivers are going to be about 10 laps shy from making it to the end of this race. So everyone's thinking of pit stop. The question then looms, when do you want to come into pit road? As a late move there, the 94 Joshua Altus, like the fact that he was leading on the inside, thought I'll take the momentum on the outer groove. And it's going to give Christopher Wade now the opportunity to take this lead.
Yeah, he's got a good run there from the 00 help. And Altus, I got to say, it was a little bit of a lazy move all the way up to the top. It looked like he went up there, but then just kind of floated almost all the way to the wall and almost allowed Will Bustler to get to his inside. That could have been big trouble for that 94 machine, but nonetheless able to get up in front of the one of Will Bustler, and those two are going to see if they can work together, work with each other well here and try to get back in front of the 53. Maybe both of them be able to drop down in front, but it's going to be side by side as Wade's got a good run here through 3 and 4.
That second row is so interesting to look at because it's Will Bustler on the outside, it's Stephen Bustler on the inside lane. Who is the better pusher to help woo their line moving forward? As Stephen Bustler gets a little wiggly through the tri-oval, the 00. Big scare right in front of Christopher Norris in the whole entire inside lane. They had to check up badly, and that's going to lose all the speed and momentum. And Christopher Wade, he's just hoping to have someone help and tap that back bumper.
Yeah, Bustler got to Steven got to the rear bumper there, gave him a shot, and it looks like maybe just caught the apron a little bit through the tri-oval and set him off. And Norris saw that and he's like, I'm just going to go to the middle here. He's going to make it 3 wide, and he's got a huge run by himself. He's going to clear the 00 and the 53. It's another bad bump from the 50 or from the 00, gets the 53 loose, and just like that, Norris up to 4th and jumps in front of the 21 of Ross Tatum.
Hey, you recognize different trends and different drivers. Someone may not be the best pusher and may have reacted poorly whenever they give a bump. Others might recognize, I don't like the chaos that I'm feeling around me, and it's just a feeling. And Christopher Norris felt like it wasn't safe where he was at, made the move, and went from 6th position now up to 2nd, and leading that outside lane now is Will Bustler. Gets the push, the bump, and now it's the 1 leading here at the Daytona 150.
Yeah, a little bit of a swap there from Altis and Bustler, but it's that 38 of Norris now. We're going to have help from the 21 of Ross Tatum. But, I mean, it's about 2 car lengths back to the 8 of McCann is in the 19 there of Jacob Grant, as they really haven't been able to. It looks like McCann's been kind of patient here, not really closing in, wanting to help out that top line. And so we're kind of really hurting that momentum, but Norris doing everything he can to try to pull that 21 up to pull him and the 21 up to the front there, side by side with Will Bustler.
I mean, we're seeing these drivers. We're not just starting lap 24 of 60. We're not even at the halfway moment of this race. And some of these drivers are making some pretty daring moves. They've worked so far, but how long and how many chances will they be given before a big one strikes? We know that there's going to be a big wreck that strikes at some moment in time. We already had a decently big one earlier on in this race, but Trevor got a feeling these drivers are not done with some of these moves we've seen so far.
Yeah, I don't think we are. I think if it's going to be anywhere, it's going to be right there with the 53, the 00 of Steven Bustler. I mean, he just looks really uncomfortable right now in the middle of this front pack here, as we've seen him get into, bump the 53, get a little loose. We've seen him clip the apron a couple times and get loose, and I got to give a huge credit to Jay Becker in the 10, keeping it off that 00. But if this continues, Sam, this could be that flashpoint that causes the big wreck.
Watching the 00, where do you want to go moving forward? And I'm just curious on how these drivers are going to be attacking moving forward, because you never know. Are they going to be able to hold steady in their patterns, or could they be running into one another and another bad bump just gone horrifically wrong?
I think you're going to see another bad bump just go horrifically wrong, as we can just see how much movement there are in these cars. And Christopher Norris talked about it a little bit there in his interview after the stage, saying it was loose on entry and kind of was moving around a lot more than what he anticipated. And I think that could cause issues with these guys, as Becker, again, just kind of looking for a way maybe around or out from behind this 00 car, who I think is just looking the most uncomfortable in this lead pack.
This lead group, not a lot of movement has been happening at this moment. There are some drivers that surprisingly are keeping up with some pace, and I want to fall back to 18th position. That's Jonathan Burt. The 6 machine somehow still attached to this lead pack. And Trevor, not something that you see very often of seeing drivers in this lead pack. What's dealing with some heavy damage is the 6 machine, as he's trying to stay in this lead group.
Yeah, try to stay up there behind the 64 machine of John Matthews, and right there with him with some heavy damage. Then the 93 of Chris Melton. I mean, he was sideways in front of the field, took a huge shot from the 77 machine of William Duff in that first caution, and both of them able to stay up with this lead pack.
And as well, the 83 of Noah C. Carter, the most heroic looking vehicle. Don't need a front bumper, just have to be running up front and having the draft to keep him there. The 83, no front clip, but still able to stay in this lead pack and moving forward.
Hey, as long as you've got the full engine power in these cars, if you can have some draft help, anything's possible apparently. Oh, with this Xfinity car, and Noah Carter doing a great job side by side with his teammate there at the very end of this lead group. And hey, if carnage ensues in front of him and you find yourself in the right spot, he could find himself winning this race.
And this back half of the group, again, some of these drivers still dealing with some damage that collected from that first caution of the race. Rest of the field thinking about when do you want to come into pit road. because drivers are going to be hitting that pit window in the next 5 laps is when it will initially open up. But do you want to take it when it initially opens up? Because drivers also recognize there is overtime if needed. We're seeing some of the other drivers out on track. This middle of the pack really looking a lot more solidified and comfortable. Not a lot of big moves that we were seeing earlier. I think all the drivers kind of got in their spots that they feel the most comfortable and recognizing, okay, let's just settle in and wait until we need to come to pit road.
Yeah, right now, right there with Jonathan Matthews in the 64. He's behind Zach Hall in the 32. You've got the 37 there of Dalton Alexander. Phil Schetti in the 42. Right there, Tony Brent, or I'm sorry, Alex Jones in the 45 is up there as well. And those guys just kind of riding, and you can see they're kind of lagging back a little bit from the top 10. They'll close in and then kind of fall back, just kind of keeping pace there and keeping a little bit of a gap just in case something goes wrong, but keep in touch with the main lead pack there.
And technically, everyone that's on the lead lap is attached to this whole entire pack. It's from the lead position of Will Bustler and Joshua Altis all the way back to 34th position of Doug Pierce. Everyone is still attached by the draft, so they still all have an opportunity to win. Oh no! Up front, issue, scattering. Christopher Norris, Jacob Granton going to be bouncing into the grass as we stay green. They are off the racing surface, and it's Zach Hall getting the worst of it for the 32. And oh man, that middle of the pack got frisky for a quick moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It looked like Jay Becker came up into the 19 of Grant, who jumped down, or who ended up bouncing down into Zach Hall, who spins down pit road and collects the 91 of Harris Gerwitz, who was just trying to get to his pit box. And huge rear end damage for the 32 machine, but we stay green as everybody kind of got through that cleanly, apart from those 3 drivers.
Just bad contacts. We're going to try to get the replay for you and just cross our fingers that no wrecks continue forward. As the field, I think, after an incident like that, you settle in for a couple of laps before you start to get aggressive. And it was just about 5 drivers all caught up in that one. Issues arising. But Trevor, as we look at this incident, it's between the 19 and the 10, like you talked about, the ones to watch out for.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what really caused it to happen. I know Becker had kind of been moving around a little bit behind the 00 of Bustler there, and right here coming through the travel just kind of moves up. It looks like they both kind of just move at the same time. One comes up, one comes down. They meet in the middle there, and that's all it takes. And Becker does a great job saving it, holding on to it. But it's going to be the 19 of Jacob Grant that comes back down the track right there in the background. You can see hits the 32 of Zach Hall, and poor Zach just nowhere to go as he spins down pit road and then rear ends the 91 who's just trying to get to his pit box.
And then when you saw the pop up of the 91 black flag cleared, it was because he was given a too fast in under pit road penalty after the contact, and that was cleared by race control. But Zach Hall now going to be needing a yellow flag come out, same for Jacob Grant, to get back into the mix here for this race as the field trying to settle into this run. As you see live, that's what got into the 91, got the black flag, got it cleared before he got into his box, so no penalty was officially given to the 91, but he's been dealing with damage after that contact. Major incidences all around we've seen here tonight. It's been up front, it's been in the back, and now the lead pack, they have to try to settle back in after that quick scare.
Yeah, we've got to do green flag pit stops, so I mean this could be another source of chaos and carnage. As Zach Hall's going to go a lap down. You can see him there at the top of the racetrack, passed by the lead pack. As it looks like the pack did a really good job of bunching back up, and everybody's back in touch with one another. But green flag pit stops, that could be a whole nother a little bit of calamity if drivers don't call it out in time and drivers don't realize that we could see more carnage when we get to that point here, Sam.
Like I was saying before, a lot of these drivers were attached with the draft. Now, from that big checkup, we've now lost a lot of drivers to the lead pack. Now it's down to just our top 30 attached to the lead, as everyone primarily in the back half of this group just staying single file. It's not until you get up to 18th and 17th position where drivers are side by side all the way from 18th to the lead position. Will Bustler, Joshua Altis, Ross Tatum, Christopher Norris, they've been playing a little bit of do-si-do on who's going to be the lead driver on the outside, the inside. The one has done a great job. Once he got to the lead position, he's not relenting it. He's keeping this spot.
Yeah, done a really good job of working both lines there and keeping the momentum where he wants it and controlling it. But it's been that third car in that outside line, now the second car, the 8 of McCann, who really hasn't been aggressive in pushing. And I think that's what caused the 38 of Norris to finally jump down to that bottom line behind Altus. And Ross Tatum, you can see here, just not really getting any push help from the 8, who maybe feels like it's not that time to be aggressive. But he's got the 3 of Ryan Lynch, who's snuck up here into the top, almost into the top 5, that might want to get up there, push the 8 and push the 21. As I say that, Tatum's got a huge run, and he's now going to be side by side with Will Bustler.
Side by side for the lead as they're going to have to go 3 wide. Jake Grant on the outside. The 19 holds his position, staying high, letting the field drive on through, and a disappointing way for this race to turn out for the 32 and the 19 after their incident that did not bring out a yellow flag. We continue to stay green past the halfway marker and now officially into the pit stop zone, where we can see green flag pit stops at any moment now. From now to probably another 10 laps is the window we're expecting.
Yeah, it's gonna be what teams decide to come in early, be the first cars on pit road. We've seen it in the past where the guys that come down pit lane first usually come out with a pretty decent gap to the rest of the field. So who's going to be the group to come down first? And you cannot afford to make a penalty. I know it's like a broken record. I feel like every week, Sam, that we cover a race where we're talking about pit road mistakes, but especially here at Daytona, you cannot afford to have a pit road mistake for the flag.
No, you cannot afford it at all. And a lot of these drivers, I think, all week and during practice have been trying to mentally prepare. How do you make these pit stops as clean as possible? Also, how do we want to set up these pit stops if we have over a large group? We've got 10 to 20 drivers all coming in at once. How do we scatter? Because that is going to be a reactional move of hoping you don't get ran over and you don't run someone else over. Everyone is thinking in the back of their mind.
Yeah, everybody's going to have a different braking point to get to that pit road speed, which I believe is 55 miles an hour. So you're going from 190 down to 55 as we have the Andrew Medlin came up, as he's kind of in the middle of the field here. And I'm curious to see, Sam, how much is he going to be working that wheel in the middle of the corner with kind of how loose we've heard drivers say this car is.
I think it was interesting hearing from Norris, but I felt like the steering wheel was stiff, but really explained that force feedback makes you feel like you're tight and snug, but based on what the drivers are seeing, feels very uncomfortable through the corners. So everyone's trying to just hit their marks, feel their spots, as Andrew Medlin on the inside for the 12 in that Special Olympics machine, hoping to make it into the playoffs this season. And starts out with a great run here tonight, as more lapped cars going to be on the outside lane. This is going to give us a quick little time to take a breath as the field scatters on by. I want to give a shout out to some of the amazing sponsors here that have really helped out for the Full Send Racing series. Some of these sponsors have been here since season 1. Others have just hopped in for this season. And it's been incredible to see how everyone has came together. And it all starts off with these amazing groups. We want to start things off with ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Go to ButtKicker.com and get yourself a game or two. Instead of hearing the sounds, why not feel the sounds to enhance your gaming and racing experience today? It's simple. Hook it up to your racing rig, and then it's a plug and go. Don't have to mess with your settings, and it is ready for you. And you might be wondering where they need to find the mess with their setups, as we'll take a quick break because pit stops are underway. It's going to be seeing Christopher Norris leading that group. It's Freaky Fast Racing all in line with the quick stop, and looking at the black flags, looks like everyone is good. But another shout out for some sponsors. Once you get your ButtKicker, you want to go send it over and hook it up with Next Level Racing. Next Level Racing is going to be your stop to get yourself a racing rig today. Comfort and prepared for your competition. Big thank you to those two major sponsors that have been here for the past couple of seasons. A new major sponsor that also is sponsoring some of the amazing races you're going to see for the Full Send Racing series. That's Sim Studios. Sim Studios, thank you for joining with us. Go check them out for more great information from Sim Studios on Instagram and Facebook today. More drivers hitting pit road. Will Bustler from the lead to pit stops. And Trevor, what have you been seeing so far as we did the rundown of sponsors on these pit stops?
I had to hold my breath there for a second. I thought Ross Tatum was going to run over the 94 of Joshua Altus on pit entry, as Altus got on the brakes a little bit earlier than I think maybe the 21 was thinking, but everybody down pit road cleanly. And so far, it's been kind of everybody's been clean getting down pit road. I think we got a couple more groups coming down. So hold your breath. It looks like everybody's been good. No penalties so far, Sam, but a couple close calls already on these pit stops.
A lot of close calls that are going to continue to ramp up because we are still waiting for our top 21 drivers to come into pit road, as it looks like another pairing coming in, and this is going to be the biggest pack we've had so far. It's a lot of Texas speed coming into pit road, and others up front, and some looking a little bit maybe too fast on entry. Watch out for the black flags, and contact going to be made. Contact's going to be for the 10. Jay Becker gets spun around while drivers were trying to get into their box.
It's unfortunate there. Becker to the inside. I believe that was the 45 maybe of Alex Jones that got into him, and that's going to be a huge loss for the 10 of Jay Becker. Is he's going to have to get to his box and get that cleared for himself, but a lot of time lost for that 10 machine.
A huge amount of time, and for Alex Jones, he missed his box by about 8 stalls. He had to really back up. And those are those incidences where you have to position yourself when you go in entering to make your stop. If you're one of those early positions, got to get to that inside pit wall. And it looked like for Alex Jones, he was stuck in the middle, and incidences arise with penalties for drivers as Christopher Melton speeding on entry. Got to be a holding penalty for the 93.
Yeah, it's going to be a 45-second hold for him, and did a really good job recovering from being involved in that incident. Was inside that lead pack, and now going to lose a little some time there with that penalty for himself. But I mean, that's what happens on these green flag pit stops when you get that many cars coming down pit road. Really easy to make those mistakes, but like you said, you've got to know where your pit box is and get to that inside as quick as possible so you don't have those mistakes happen.
Cannot afford it, as we are now waiting for our final 8 drivers to come into pit road. Leading the way is going to be Trey Jackson in the 55, doing a little bit of substitution. We had our first substitute back in last season on race number 1. Had a couple of drivers doing a fill-in job, and it's Trey Jackson filling in for the 55 of Sam Siegel that we expect to see later on in this season. But Trey Jackson's done a little bit of fill-in last season as well. It's good to see the 55 out there on track, running with the 2-time champ Cameron Sark.
Yeah, had some good runs at the beginning of races last season. Just kind of fell off in the long run when we had those. But here at Daytona, the great equalizer. So Trey Jackson doing a really good job leading this front pack. Is I believe now the top 7 or top 8 still yet to make their pit stop. It should see them down pit road in the next couple of laps. And it'll be interesting to see where they cycle out once the green flag pit stops are all done.
Yeah, seeing a little bit of alliance work with the drivers that are out on track, guys. Leading the group in the 55, the 24, and the 5. That's going to be John Dart, Cameron Sarnitz, and Trey Jackson, all from Ghost Racing. And another group that's running with them is going to be Rookie Bobby Motorsports, having Travis Dart was hoping to be a little bit further up ahead after a great run in the duels. Now he's in the 6th position. His other teammates are Brian Wilson, Philip Chavez, and as well Doug Pierce, all trying to stay in this lead pack. When do they come into pit road, and how cleanly can you make this stop? As they could still stay out technically for another lap or so, but they're over the radio. Pit stop this lap.
Yeah, going to come down pit road, see how cleanly they can get on and off pit road. Here's the guys that have already made their pit stop. They're battling with each other side by side, but you can see it much better. Looks like entry for these guys. The guys in those early pit boxes already to the inside where they need to be. Everybody into their boxes cleanly here, it looks like. And I don't see any black flags for penalties here, Sam. So really good job getting on pit road for those guys.
A fantastic job by that grouping. But if they stayed out so late, how much time are they going to lose? Because it's this group that we see on screen, the leaders of those that have already made their pit stops and are hoping to win here tonight. It's Will Bustler leading on the inside lane in the 1. Cole Sicchetti in the 42 on the outside lane, having some help in this group, looking fast up front, as it's a pairing of around 8 drivers, 8 to 9 that are in this pack that are on the lead lap. A couple of lap cars tagging along, and the next group that's close to them is going to be about 4.5 seconds back. That is a major gap that we're seeing from this group that's on screen to the next group that is hoping to run them down. Around that of 4 seconds is the gap difference.
Yeah, and there they go past that group that just came down pit road. Oh, there they go. They're wrecking.
And major issues. It's Ken Campbell going to be involved with this one, and other drivers piling in. Travis Dart, Philip Chavez, and as well the 00 of going to be Steven Bustler caught up in this one.
There's just nowhere for Travis Dart to go when that wreck happened. I'm not sure what caused that, but they were trying to get around the 55 of Trey Jackson, who was on that inside line after coming off of pit road. And might have been a case of just 3 wide cars getting together and just a huge, unfortunate break there for Ken Campbell. He's got massive damage.
Yeah, it was a lot of drivers trying to give space and some not giving space. I think it's just kind of an unawareness of the situation maybe that was arising, and having drivers staying low, forcing the lead group. They had to make the move up. As we get the replay, it's again Ken Campbell and the 00 are the two drivers to watch out for. As you see the 55, Trey Jackson stays low. The 15 reacts to move up, and the 00 doesn't, and just hooks himself as Ken Campbell off the nose of the 00, and other drivers piling in.
Yeah, I mean, Trey Jackson, I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. He did everything he needed to do, staying on the bottom line, having just come off pit road. I think just maybe a lack of awareness from maybe the 00 there. It kind of comes up, and just Stephen Bustler just didn't really react to Campbell coming up to get around that of Trey Jackson, and sends him into the outside wall. And Travis Dart, Philip Chavez, just nowhere to go for those two drivers as the 15 spun back down in front of him.
I mean, just to play a little bit of devil's advocate, it looked like Ken Campbell was going to be all right, but with him moving up just slightly, and kind of what we've seen with the arrow, quote-unquote arrow movement that's been going on here tonight, a little bit of connections, you could say, of the drivers being hooked on one another, and any slight movement was looking like it was going to take out the 00 and the 15. Sadly, they're going to be majorly damaged to the 15 machine. That's going to force him into pit road with required damage. A lot of other drivers, they are grateful to see this yellow flag come out. This is going to be putting back 30 drivers out there on track. As the field getting ready, 14 laps to go, and Trevor, you shouted it out. You kind of brought it out at our stage break. Maybe we needed 15 laps to go at the end of this race. Well, let's have less than 15 on this next restart.
I mean, based off the dual races that we saw, and how exciting those finishes were, and then the stage break that we had at lap 15 with Norris getting the stage win by a couple thousandths of a second. I mean, why not have a less than 15 lap shootout to get to the end of this race?
I mean, this is going to be fun. If you've been watching since the beginning of tonight, we had ourselves practice qualifying 2 duels, 15 laps each for both those races. That set us up for 60 laps to see who was going to win the Daytona 150 presented by REG Customs. Go check out REG Customs today to find out some great graphics that you can put on your sim rigs today. And we have had plenty of people in the chat commenting. We've had lots of viewers, and we want to give a huge shout out to the league as well, sharing the stream, getting everyone here to watch the first race of season 5, the Full Send Racing series. Thank you so much to everyone that's been participating and watching, viewing, commenting. We are very thankful to have you out there watching us and allowing us to even show you this incredible racing these drivers have given. And if you just showed up right now, it's the best time to watch because it's about to get crazy. Well, you missed out on some of the best finishes of the evening, maybe. Both of the dual races finished with a gap of 5 thousandths of a second. That's inches between who was going to win or lose for both of the duels. And then when we came down to the end of our stage, it was just as close. So we know it is going to be a wild finish at the end. If they can keep it clean and green, and Trevor, we'll see if they can, because it looks like it's been difficult to keep it clean and green for when we get to these late stages.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, I'm expecting a couple more cautions. I mean, that was we haven't technically seen a big wreck yet. We've seen a couple of incidents, a couple of 3-car incidents. The first wreck at lap 10, I think, was about 5 cars. But, with the 40-car field, Sam, I mean, we technically really haven't seen the big one. It could just be right around the corner. Who knows? But I think the intensity level is about to go through the roof.
That it certainly will. A lot of drivers hoping for this race to stay clean and green. Some drivers in the back hoping that they can finally make a hero run and moving forward. And for Will Bustler, Cole Seghetti, this is a crucial restart to make sure that you are not caught up in a mess and don't have any wheel spin. Don't get caught up with anyone else's shenanigans, get penalties. It is crunch time to start the season off right. here tonight. Thank you so much for joining with us on Freaky Fast Broadcast. And if you have not shared the stream yet, might as well do it. Might as well hit that like button. It helps out the stream and it helps out the drivers get more notified so that they can get some better sponsors every week possible. The sponsors that we have are incredible, and we are so thankful to ButtKicker, Next Level Racing, and Grand Sim Studios to helping out the Full Send Racing series. And it's time for us to get prepared. Who is winning the Daytona 150 presented by REG Customs? My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Trevor Earhart, Rod Maury Jr. in the background, and it's time for the last little bit of a dash. We're back to green flag action here tonight. Cole Sketty, Will Bustler roaring down into turn number 1.
Yeah, it's going to be Cole Sketty with a good push there from Altus. But here comes the 12 of Medlin to the 1 of Will Bustler. He's going to try to push him up past the 42. North, kind of a sluggish start in the 38 machine, but he's going to close in on the rear bumper of his teammate in the 12 there of Medlin, as they're all going to be side by side off of turn number 2, jockeying for who's going to have that better run.
Who's going to find the better help at the end of the day? Some drivers hoping to get into a better situation at the end of this race. A little bit of confusion in the middle of the pack, but up front, a clean start for our top 20 drivers, as Will Bustler trying his best. But we see the 24, the two-time champ, Cameron Starton, 5th car on the inside. Kind of a trapped feeling as you're seeing other drivers trying to figure out what late moves can you make with 11 laps to go here tonight.
Now's not the time to be a little bit passive, maybe not push the car in front of you. You got to try to take every run you can get, work your way up to the front of the field, especially if you're some of these guys further on back in this pack, to see what you can do. You see Dalton Alexander making a little bit of a lift to the inside of the 5. There, and John Dart thinking about maybe taking the 3 wide. He's got a couple of teammates behind him as they kind of scatter in the back half of the pack, but up front it's still going to be Bustler, Sacchetti, the 94 of Altus, and Medlin all trying to figure it out. As Sacchetti's going to get a big push from the 94. He's going to clear the 1, and when he takes the inside line, he decides to stay up top through turn number 3.
To make the final push, the final pass, and drivers having a slight scare on the outside lane as almost a bad bump from Cole Sketty and Joshua Altus. Altus in the 94, 2nd car on the outside, really making some big moves. 10 laps to go has been notified to the drivers. It's crunch time. Who is winning the Daytona 150 here tonight? As we have seen some past winners done some incredible moves to get the win at this track, but some of those past winners are not up front. But one is, that's Andrew Medlin in the 12 machine, hoping to get his 2nd Daytona win in the Full Send Racing series. But currently, 2nd car on the inside and helping out Will Bustler, hoping that this one has enough speed to get there to the end.
Yeah, just trying to push that 1 clear, maybe so he can set himself up for maybe a last lap pass, but we still got to make it there, coming to 9 laps to go. And those top 4 still side by side. And I mean, it's side by side, Sam, all the way back to that of about 15th, 16th position. Maybe all the way back to that of 20th, is the whole pack on top of one another, trying to get every position that they can.
Trying to grab every spot possible. And looking at the past stats of drivers that have won here in past seasons, we've had a lot of drivers that have led a lot of laps that get into victory lane. Will Bustler's hoping to be one of those to say, hey, I've led over 20 laps and got to victory lane. Back in season 3, though, when they ran in this exact car, it was a driver that led just 1 lap. It was the last lap that got to victory lane. We'll see if tonight's got the same magic, or was it someone that dominated as we're coming across the line, getting prepared for just 8 more laps at the circuit around here at Daytona. But if we get a caution with 5 laps to go, we will be going to overtime. And I know the field is very nervous if we do get to that overtime situation.
I just about had a caution out of turn number 4. It was Jay Becker in the 10, Christopher Wade in the 53 that got together. Both of them did a really good job saving it. Ryan Lynch, the 9 of Brian Wilson, get together further on back in the pack. They save it, but here they go. Sam, 3 wide racing. It's going to be Dalton Alexander in the 37 to the outside of the 5 of John Dart. He's bringing his teammate, the 11 of Tyler Thomas, with him, and here comes that 3rd line to the outside.
It's going to be Texas Speed, the 37, bouncing to that 3rd line, teammate behind him, the 11 of Tyler Thomas, and other Texas Speed members trying to get collected to the outside lane, build up as much momentum as possible. But just 3 vehicles doesn't look to be the run that they're hoping for. The side draft's too strong. They're basically stalling out. They need more drivers in line, and here comes the cavalry trying to help them out.
Yeah, it's gonna be the 9 of Brian Wilson trying to get up there. The 3 of Ryan Lynch as well. They're going to try to get up there as they're now side by side. Almost a little bit of contact between Doug Pierce and the 24 of Cameron Sarton, but that third line trying to get all the momentum they can. They lose one driver who jumps to the middle line, but here comes Wilson to fill that spot up and see if they can get that outside line to work as they're starting to make a little bit of progress here through 3 and 4.
Just trying to get more and more smoother drivers in line. That was Tony Brent that decided to duck away from his teammates and move to the middle groove where he felt like there was a lot more confidence in moving forward. But everyone's starting to get to that stall out phase as the 37, Dalton Alexander, has been quiet all night. But drivers collecting behind as they're scattering. You see drivers pocketing to the inside and onto the apron. We keep ourselves green. Because all the drivers are down on the apron, there is no yellow. We keep on running forward.
Ryan Lynch involved, a couple of the Texas Speed guys involved in that, but we stay green down the back straightaway, still 3 wide. It's going to be Ross Tatum side by side with Norris, the 37 of Dalton Alexander. They're going to be 3 wide. And still that top line trying to make it work as best they can. Is that now it's kind of all scattered around up here, same as that top line. The middle line has only got 3 cars, top line's got 4 as they try to sort it out at turn number 4.
Yeah, the major drivers caught up in that incident going to be David McConnell, Noah C. Carter, John Dart, Peter Dillon, as well as Ryan Lynch, were the major factor drivers that were caught up in that mess. But up front, looking to be Cole Sacchetti, wanting to get a win here at Daytona, but they got to be careful. A lap car is going to be trying to stay low, but spinning now right in front of him on the apron. Oh, buddy, was that a scary moment, but we continue to point forward. 5 laps to go, and the drama's not over just yet.
Not over yet. I thought that was going to be it. I thought the lead pack was going to be gone with that incident, but they keep it straight somehow. Cameron Sarton loses a little bit of time, though. It's still going to be 3 wide. Dalton Alexander almost got up to the side of the 94 of Joshua Altis. Altis with a little bit of a block, though, and again with the block out of turn number 4, he gets loose, hangs on to it, and here comes that top line. We're 3 wide for the lead.
3 wide. Will Bustler on the inside. Cole Sacchetti in the middle. And that top lane having this Texas Speed driver of Dalton Alexander. As it's going to be 3 by 3 by 3. It's all drivers up front hoping to stay stable. It's the bottom 2 lanes, though, that have been the most consistent on the run. The outside just needs a little bit more help. And really, it's going to rely on the fact of the 11 of Tyler Thomas. Can he stay to the back bumper of the 28 as Will Bustler having some issues? Contact! Ross Tatum gets sent to the grass.
This is going to be interesting if Tatum can hold on to it. If he's going to come back up the track, cause caution. He's up the track into the wall. No oncoming traffic. It looks like he's going to be able to
oh no, leaders, contact! Cole Sacchetti, Joshua Altis, major contact. They stay down low. We still stay green.
Calamity everywhere, Sam. We're getting down to the last 3 laps. They're still 3 wide for the lead after all of that. It's going to be now the 28 up front with the 1 of Will Bustler, the 12 of Medlin, 37 of Alexander gets passed by his teammate of Tony Brent, who now leaves that outside line. And here comes the Texas Speed guys as they try to get lined up with one another.
4 Texas Speed drivers, 3 in line, and it's going to be Tyler Thomas stuck on the top groove. Will Bustler still having the help of Freaky Fast racing behind of Andrew Medlin and Christopher Norris. They have just seen the bottom 5 drivers have actually been the same 5 this whole entire run. It's been the middle and top lane that have been swapping back and forth on where they're feeling the most comfortable. And now hitting the 2 laps to go marker, the Daytona 150 presented by REG Customs. Well, they just got 1 more lap before this race becomes official.
Yeah, got to make it all the way around to get the white flag before this is over. A caution here would send us into overtime. I can tell you this, Bustler being aggressive with the side draft up to the side of the 37.
Oh, there it goes.
Contact made, and there they go.
Side drafting mayhem, and the teammates wreck between Freaky Fast, and there's only just a few drivers that make it through. And it's going to be Tony Bennett, Cameron Sard, Christopher Wade that make it through the mess. And it was the side drafting that just backfires, just giving no space, no room, and let's wipe out the field.
That's all it takes, that aggression right there. I mean, you're 2 to go coming out of turn number 2. You're racing back to the white flag, and you've got to do everything you can, and that's all it takes, Sam. And there goes your lead pack for the 3rd time, and this time it brings out the caution.
I mean, it is such a difficult spot to be. When you're running up front, everything was on the line, and this will officially send us into overtime. We got 3 attempts if needed here this evening. Well, let's take a look what officially brought out the caution. Watch out for the one not holding the yellow line, kind of drifting up into the middle groove. And because of the quote unquote wind issues we've had, I'm not surprised to see at some point it just latched on with the 37 and the one, and it pulls the one up into the middle lane, and away they go.
Yeah, just trying to use that side draft and then the the draft getting those guys hooked together like that, just nowhere for them to go. Everybody, you just see Bustler there almost flipping, and then it was contact between that of Norris and his teammate, the 12 of Medlin, as they tried to scatter. That sends Medlin up the track in front of, I'm not quite sure who that was, another one of the Texas Speed guys. I believe that was the 6 of Jonathan Burt that pushed Medlin there. But I'd tell you what, Cameron Sargent, he gets through that pretty well, but heavy contact for some favorites there, Sam.
Major heavy contact, as you've seen some of the penalties that are being diced out. Will Bustler gets the end of the line penalty, and gosh, it's frustration over the radio for drivers. That's what's going to send the one to the tail end. Here's some of the other contacts that happened. This was a different incident from drivers further on back that were not even involved with the incident that brought out the yellow, but you're just seeing drivers recklessly running around one another. It's the end of the race. You got to make some big moves, and carnage has been raining here in the last couple of laps.
It definitely has. I mean, we saw it with Ross Tatum going through the grass, then Cole Sacchetti and Joshua Altus going to the inside wall. The lap before that, I mean, that's the end of the race racing here at Daytona. That's what you're going to get, and we're still not done. As we're going to have 3 attempts at a green white checker.
And I'm looking at the drivers that are going to be up front. Some of these drivers were caught up heavily damaged, and they're still going to stay out on track. That means we are going to see drivers have to make some bold moves, get around slower drivers. This restart could get chaotic if those that are heavily damaged don't just come into pit road and get service done. But if you don't have a required damage flag, it looks like you're staying out if you're one of these guys up front.
Yeah, I mean, why give up the track position? You never know what might happen. Even with some damage, you could possibly find yourself into victory lane. But it's gonna be the I believe the 37 of Dalton Alexander, who's missing a rear, looks like the whole rear end of the car on my end of it. Doesn't even have a spoiler, and so that could really make things interesting for these guys at the front of the field.
I mean, we've seen drivers be able to run up front without a front bumper. No rear spoiler, might not be able to get a bump from somebody, but we talked about it. It's all about that air bubble of getting in front of the other drivers. And oh boy, here we go. Overtime. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. If you've never seen an overtime attempt, this is the way that it runs down. Drivers are given 2 laps to finish out the race. If a yellow flag caution comes out on that first lap, we will go into attempt number 2. If we get to the white flag, though, this race becomes official. No, every contact that happens, it doesn't matter. It's not going to bring out a yellow flag. It was all about who crosses the line first. So once that white flag is out, the gloves are off, and it's all down to who crosses the line first, which I got to say now, Trevor, I would imagine some drivers might wreck each other for a win.
I would, after everything we've seen, Sam, I wouldn't hold it past anybody to do that. Not something you necessarily want to see, but I mean, hey, first race of the year, you're at Daytona. It locks you into the playoffs. If you get the win here tonight, I think some of these drivers might be willing to do whatever it takes to find themselves locked into the playoffs in the first race of the season. And I mean, we got 3 attempts to figure it out.
I know the chat's been going around. Who is your favorite to win here tonight? A lot of late surge of Texas Speed, hoping for them to win, and it makes sense. You got 2 front runners ready to take off. You've seen the penalties all coming through. A lot of drivers giving end-of-line penalties, some because of how much damage they're dealing with, and so for a safety reason they're being sent to the back. Others are asking to be sent to the back. So we are getting ourselves set up. Pace car lights are off. We're going this time by. Again, thank you so much to everyone that's been watching here this evening for the Full Send Racing Series Season 5, first race of the season, the Daytona 150 presented by REG Customs. Drivers up front, it is time to put down some of your fastest laps, find your allies, and make the big move to get the win. We're riding on board the 24 of Cameron Sarton, getting a great shot of the 9 of Brian L. Wilson. We have not talked about Wilson at all here tonight. He's been caught up in a couple of messes, but he's still in the fight. You don't see a rear bumper in front of you. That's Dalton Alexander, hoping to stay safe up front. Well, here we go, the potential final restart of the night. The Full Send Racing Series, the Daytona 150 presented by REG Customs, about to go down. Dalton Alexander, Tony Bennett holding the crown for Texas Speed and wanting to get to victory lane, but the rest of the drivers, they recognize it's go time here at Daytona. Pace car is off. An overtime attempt is underway for our first one. We're green at Daytona.
And Dalton Alexander trying to get a good start with all that damage, and it's not going to take long for Cameron Sarton to just get the 37 out of the way, as I think the damage is too much as they split him. But no help for the 24 on that outside line. It's going to be the 28, Tony Brent, Brian Wilson in the 9, the 53, Christopher Wade, Andrew Medlin, Christopher Norris. The teammates of Freaky Fast still lined up with one another, but here comes that outside line, the 55, Trey Jackson, the 8 of Brian McCain, starting to line up and try to form that second line. Let's see if they can go up there and challenge that 28.
That outside lane looks strong, and Tony Bennett's got to move up and block, but the block's going to be too late. Cameron Sarton has the better help behind him, and the 24 trying to get the nose ahead. They'll be side by side the rest of the field, trying to get into a better position here. We're on overtime attempt number 1. If we cross the line, this race is official. It's the 28. Tony Bennett having more drivers behind him. Cameron Sarton trying to get back into victory lane. It's the next level racing. White flag out in the air.
And it's going to be that of Cameron Sarton with a little bit of an advantage over the 28 of Tony Brent. And it'll be the 55 of Trey Jackson, the fill-in driver, who's going to try to push the 24. But here comes that inside line. Brian Wilson with a little bit more help from the 28. A little bit of a wiggle from the 24, but who's going to have the run down the back straightaway? It's going to be the help from the 55. A big shove to the 24, and here comes Cameron Sarton.
And it's going to be side by side, the better run. It's going to be seeing the 24 getting the surge ahead. Will Trey Jackson just stick to his teammate's back bumper? The fill-in driver was hoping to get some help. Instead, he's going to see the 24 holding off Tony Bennett. Bennett has no assistance behind him, but he's going to be seeing the 28 try to duck low. He'll bounce high, side drafting side by side. Who's going to get the win at Daytona? And it's going to be Cameron Sarton trying to get the win, but Bennett side by side is practically identical times, but it's the 28. Not sure if he's gonna get the win, but it is so close. It's bouncing back and forth. I believe Bennett's got it.
My timer says it was dead heat. iRacing says it's Tony Bennett, and I mean that 0-0-0 gap. I mean that was a photo finish.
iRacing saying one, SDK saying the other, and we will have to wait for the official confirmation because it was so close. The closest finish ever in Full Send Racing history. We're waiting, but I believe we're going to go based off what iRacing says, which would be Tony Bennett from Texas Speed stealing it at the end.
I mean, what of... I'm speechless, Sam. I mean, 0.000. I mean, it was a photo finish at the line. And I think it was because Cameron Sarton hit the apron. He lost a little bit of momentum that probably could have seen him win that race. But, I mean, what if that's 3 finishes between the dual races and this that have been so close, and this one's the closest of all of them.
Every single run, every heat, every duel, and at the end of this race, the driver that was leading the run could not get the win at the end. It was a last lap, last pass going through the tri-oval, and Tony Bennett gets it done. We're going to see if we can get the replay for you because it's worthy of looking back at Tony Bennett, Cameron Sarton, identical across the line. It had to go to the 10,000ths, maybe even to the 100,000ths of a second.
Just unbelievable finish. What a way to start the season here at Daytona. I don't think you could have asked for a better finish than that. And then Trey Jackson as a fill-in driver, Sam, going to come home in 3rd position for himself as well. So a huge shout out to him. But what a wild finish we just had.
Tony Bennett, with this win in his positioning, started this race, had a horrendously bad dual race for the 28 and the way that he started here tonight. Started 37th position and is our biggest mover of the race and the victor. You don't see that very often, but when we say anyone could win this race, we mean it. And the 28 proved it here tonight, beating out the 2-time champion Cameron Sarton. Trevor, once again, not able to get the win that he's been searching for since season 3.
Yeah, just so close to getting that win. And you just got to feel for him. But I mean, he did everything he could to get the win here tonight, just in the unenviable position of being the lead car coming to the checkered flag, and you're just kind of a sitting duck. And you got to give credit to Tony Brent. He did everything he needed to get to the outside and get that win, get that move done.
And if you're wondering what's going on, you just joined in now. We are trying to get the replay of how the finish of this race went down. Once again, almost a little bit of deja vu of what we've seen from our duels earlier tonight. We had 2 of them to set the grid, and it was down to 5 thousandths of a second for both the duels. And tonight, the finish of the official race for the Daytona 150 presented by REG Customs was identical across the line. It went down to the millimeter on who was going to find themselves into victory lane. And we're about to be bringing it up. But Trevor, I mean, you don't get to see these types of finishes very often. And we got to see 3 incredible finishes. That's how the 28-1 was right there across the line.
I mean, you look at that photo and it's a dead heat just straight across. And I mean, you get usually what, 1 finish like that throughout the season, usually at the super speedway. We got to see 3 photo finishes tonight. And Sam, this just gets me even more excited for the rest of what's to come for this season.
I mean, the rest of the season is going to be spectacular. I cannot wait for what the other races are going to be bringing to us. We're going to so many different tracks. We're going to Spa later in the season. We're going to Chicagoland next week, Dover in 2 weeks. Plenty of incredible races that are about to be underway. But for us, the coverage is not over just yet. You saw the incredible finish. Let's hear the amazing highs, the incredible lows in just a few moments. We got to step away, grab our top 3 in a spotlight driver, get their thoughts on how tonight went, and the post-race show will be starting very shortly. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You just got to see one of the closest finishes you will ever see on iRacing, identical when they came across the line, and iRacing gave the advantage to the 28 of Tony Brent, the rookie, getting himself into victory lane on his first race of the season. It's great to see the heroes. Let's hear from the 28 and see the highs and how he's feeling. Tony, congratulations. You are a full send racing series winner. How are you feeling after finishing identical with Cameron Sarton?
Feeling pretty darn good. I wasn't sure I had it at first. I just figured side draft there and give it a shot, and then wait just like you guys to make sure confirmation said I had it. I know iRacing said I did, but then we tossed on the broadcast and heard that SDK had other things in mind, but glad we picked it up.
I mean, Tony, walk us through the green white checkered. You guys as a whole team there, Texas Speed, we're working your way up through the field, got the third line going, and then kind of some calamity and chaos unfolded, kind of got you all separated in there at the end. You line up with your teammate Dalton Alexander on the outside, who had I believe too much damage, fell back through the field. But I mean, what's going through your head as y'all line up for that green white checkered?
Well, first off, just want to back up a step. I do have to apologize to 21. As we were coming up to the field there, I had to check up, and at that same time, I got loose and ruined his race. I got to apologize to him for that first. But for that restart, actually didn't really feel too good about it. I knew he had damage. Didn't know who's working with who. So just figured I'd hold it down to the line. My brain said go up. Like, I like the runs on the outside, but I felt more vulnerable up there. Knew that I was probably going to get past like that, and then just hoped that we could drag race it to the line. When I went high, I didn't expect to win, honestly. Just had to try, and luckily came away with it.
I mean, Tony, certainly a spectacular night of racing. We had three of probably the closest finishes you could ask for with the duels and then the end of the Daytona 150. We got the rest of the season set up. Texas Speed all came in as a whole group. How are you feeling as a team going into the rest of this season after the super speedway being done?
We're feeling really good. We had some great pace in those qualifying races, and before I go further, I want to make sure I thank all those guys. Want to thank Jonathan Burt for getting us set up over here and all the efforts of everyone over at Texas Speed. Although I got the win, we're looking forward to getting to some tracks where you control your own fate a little bit more and can work at that. But we're just very excited to be a part of this. It's a very well-run league from what we've seen so far, and nice to have like these big fields, but also the respect that the competitors race with, and just great racing to be a part of.
I mean, Tony, it certainly was incredible to watch you racing out there. And if there's any other shout outs, the floor is now yours for any of those.
I got to thank everyone over at Texas Speed, Tyler, David, Jonathan, Dalton, and Noah. Those are all the guys that are running with us this year. Dalton and Noah part-time. Huge thank you to those guys and the effort they put in. And then just thanks everyone back at Texas Speed that keeps this deal going. And thank you to you, the broadcasters and Race Control. Looking forward to doing this, and looking forward to not having the stress of having to lock in, and keep trying to be up front, and hopefully talk to you guys up here some more.
Oh, we cannot wait to talk to you more. Tony, congratulations. I know the chat, they were screaming out and hoping for one of you Texas Speed drivers to win, and you got it done. Congratulations, and good luck next week at Chicagoland.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
That is going to be your Daytona 150 winner of Tony Brent, who comes away with the identical time, but the driver that comes away second. And honestly, our SDK, iRacing, both were not sure who won it, but Cameron Sarton officially will come away second. Cam, it's Sam and Trevor up at the booth. I know you were hoping for the win to finally break the curse that you weren't able to break last season and finally get into victory lane. Second place, though. How are you feeling after tonight's performance?
I don't know. Kind of all I gotta do is laugh right now. So definitely the luckiest and best kind of strategy I've had on the restrictor plate race in any league, or really just in general. I always somehow find the big one, no matter if it's my fault or someone else's. Avoid them perfectly, and set myself up good with Trey, kind of our fill-in teammate tonight, right behind, and man, it stings a little bit. No, especially that we tied, not even that lost by a point, 0-1. So it hurts for sure. It's just laughable that can't break the little curse like you said. But it'll come. So overall, good start to the year for sure.
I mean, Cam, like you just said, I mean, good start to the year. You win the Clash race last week. You come home. I mean, in every sense of the word, a photo finish here tonight. I mean, was there anything else that you could have done? Thinking back on it, coming out of 4, coming to the line, that maybe could have gotten you that point, 001 edge on Tony.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I know Trey gave me a really good run a backstretch, so I kind of went low because I knew that 28 was going to get a run right there on the bottom, and I was kind of scared if I stayed up top. The I don't know, the draft in these cars changed compared to last time we drove them, so the side drafts kind of meant something. That's why you kind of saw a lot of tight racing and a good amount of wrecks for people trying to side draft each other. And I just thought if he did that, I was going to get almost a car length behind him, and he could easily kind of throw a block up there from the bottom, and when I didn't have a ton of speed, and I just thought I didn't have a chance, so blocked him, and I knew Brian was a little damaged, so I didn't think he had full RPMs, and man, I don't know how he got that good of a run out of 4. I just wasn't expecting it, just because it's kind of tougher to get the run out of 4 like you're used to able to get. It was just out of 2, it felt like, at least to myself, and I saw him get to the outside, and I was like, oh my. I was like, I don't know if I even have a shot. And so I went to the apron, and I don't know if that cost me. But I feel like if I stayed just on the racetrack, I think he would have beat me by, 0.1 seconds instead of a tie. So I kind of thought it was a loss either way. I kind of wish I door slammed him now just for the fun, especially if it was just us two. But yeah, I don't really know. I've never really been in that position too much on restrictor plate races. So just kind of accepting it.
Yeah, not very many people have been in that type of scenario that you just found yourself in, Cam. Still, though, a great start. You come away with the win last week at the Clash, second place here tonight. Good momentum moving forward. How are you feeling about these first couple of races that are going to be coming up, going to Chicagoland, Dover, and Michigan, our next 3 races?
Yeah, really good. So I haven't raced Chicagoland a while, but was pretty decent there in the past, and big Dover fan, the in Xfinity car for sure. So really looking forward to it. Got momentum. Technically I got a win and then a quote win, if you want to say that as well. So just continue to move forward. We got a lot more guys than I thought. Even though there's some are part time, there's a lot of competitiveness throughout the field. So we're kind of gonna see who's kind of got it and who's a little too early in the playoff stands next week and kind of the following weeks. But feel really good, especially in the Xfinity car. So feeling great, and hopefully momentum continues.
We hope it does as well. Cam, before we officially let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, shout out to mom, dad, grandparents watching. Ghost team, so John, Sam couldn't make it, but big shout out to Trey for even giving me the option to even get a chance at the win. So he was pushing me great. So shout out to him for joining us. A lot of fun tonight, and tried to put on a good show, and y'all got us up in the booth. So I'm sure it was entertaining. Daytona usually is, and with 40 cars and a lot of new faces over here, I'm sure it was a little crazy. So let's get on with it.
It certainly was crazy. Can't wait to see what you're going to bring out for the rest of this season, Cam. And congratulations on at least getting a top 3 finish here tonight.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Well, as we go from second place, let's head down to third. We heard about Trey Jackson being a fill-in driver. Well, let's hear from the fill-in driver, Trey Jackson in the 55. Trey, you come away third. Almost got Cam the win there late. But, man, how are you feeling coming in as a late substitute into tonight's race?
Yeah, me and Cam, we had stuck together all night and thought we had him in position to win there. Gave him a great push down the back straightaway, and he had to take the run and get down to the inside. I was hoping I would be able to carry my momentum on the outside and get back up next to him, but I stalled out whenever after he went down low, and just had to settle for third there.
I mean, Trey, we saw you fill in a couple times last season. You come in, fill in here tonight, come home with the top 3. I mean, just what was it like out there throughout the course of the night? I mean, we saw some chaos, some hard racing, some side drafting, but I mean, how was the car, and what was your takeaway from tonight?
Yeah, it was pretty intense actually. Majority of the night, I just hung back and just kind of stayed just out of touch of the leaders there. It was getting pretty aggressive. There was some 3 wide, and with no fast repair, just wanted to make sure got it there to the end to give myself a chance at it. So, but yeah, the car was a little dicey. They move around quite a bit more than I remember. So yeah, that was the plan, just to kind of hang back. And then there, when we made our final pit stop, we came out there and got some track position, and that put us in a good spot there to have a chance to come away with a good finish.
A good finish you certainly did grab, Trey. Congratulations on 3rd place. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shout outs.
Yeah, just thank our sponsors, Next Level Racing, ButtKicker, REG Customs, FR Graphics, Impact Sim Designs, anybody else I missed, and thank Travis and John for putting on the league, and appreciate y'all guys covering it. Enjoy it.
Well, thank you for giving us a great show to cover. That's going to be the 3rd place finisher in the 55 fill-in of Trey Jackson. Great finish there, Trey. I can't wait to see you back out on track whenever you're able to fill in again.
All right, thanks, guys.
As we go from 3rd place finisher, let's go to our 2nd biggest mover of the race, because the biggest mover was our winner of Tony Brent, but the 2nd biggest mover was the driver that started in 2nd to last. That was Christopher Wade in the 53. Chris, you come away with a 6th place finish at the end of the day. Man, how are you feeling after that performance here tonight?
That's pretty good win in my book. Starting the big field like this didn't go our way in the heat race because I was going to be a little bit more aggressive. I was waiting for the perfect time to go 3 wide or something. I just got caught up in that wreck and just decided to tow because the car was pretty much done after that.
I mean, Christopher, you come away here with a 6th place finish, going to Chicagoland next week. I mean, how are you feeling? A good finish here, but how are you feeling about getting the season started next week, or getting to the next week at Chicagoland?
That was Chicagoland is my first race win in a league, so it was with the Gen 6's cars though, but Xfinity's they're a little handful, but I feel pretty confident to be pretty quick at that track. But usually, I mean, it just depends, it's some weeks you're off and some weeks you're on, and hopefully this is I'm gonna be on that at that track.
We're hoping you're going to be on it as well, Chris. I know we've seen you perform well in this car and other similar vehicles like this. We hope that you're going to continue on with that speed. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
I want to thank my mom and dad, you guys, for putting on such an awesome broadcast, and AC2 Skins, he's the man. I want to thank my teammates, Will, Ross, and Buster 2.00, and Jonathan Woods, and I want to thank my buddy, my teammate as well, Ken Campbell, his wife Casey, the boys, all those guys, such a awesome dude, and Storms Motorsports, such a awesome little elite league thing that we got going on, team thing, and I want to thank my amazing girlfriend Chelsea.
Well, that was an incredible run for yourself. That's Christopher Wade, 2nd biggest mover of the night, up 33 positions from where he qualified. Congratulations on 6th place and getting a top 10 finish, and good luck next week at Chicagoland there, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
As we move from our interviews, let's get ready to take a look at our unofficial results of tonight, because It's a little confusing when you look at what we see in the back end compared to what STK, which is our ticker program, is telling you. STK was saying Cameron Sarton got the win. iRacing said Tony Brent got the win. Both saying they were identical across the line. We saw the photos finish right before we started our interviews. It was close. It was chaotic. But this is where unofficially the drivers are going to be finishing out. Tony Brent going to find himself into victory lane, just nosing ahead. I wouldn't even say it was a nose. It was something they visually cannot see the difference. Beating out Cameron Sarton. Trey Jackson, fill-in driver, is going to get third. That Brian L. Wilson comes away fourth. Fifth goes to Brian McCann, a driver to watch out for in these next couple of weeks is the 8 machine. Christopher Wade, second biggest mover of the night in sixth. Nick Holland, recovery run for the 13. Skays away with seventh for himself. Ross Tatum comes away in eighth. Andrew Medlin, ninth, and finishing out our top 10 is Christopher Norris.
Yeah, I mean, you look further down the field, Chris Melton with a great recovery run in 14th after he was involved in our first caution on lap 8. Alex Jones, after being caught up in a couple of incidences, gets a good finish in 13th. Jonathan Matthews as well, just outside the top 10. But I mean, you scroll further on down, Philip Chavez, Joshua Altus, Will Bustler down there in 20th and 21st. I mean, Sam, they were up front leading the race with 3 to go before they got caught up with one another. They're going to finish down there in the 20s. Dalton Alexander, we saw him restart on the outside row with all that damage, going to come home in 24th after having a good run. Zach Hall down in 28 as well. Ken Campbell, after the hard contact we saw him have down in 36 with Chris Stitz. William Duff, who unfortunately had the required damage after the first caution, along with Jonathan Woods. They're going to come home 38th and 39th. And Cedric Hunter only ran a couple of laps, going to come home 40th. But Sam, I mean, 2 dual races, close finishes, a photo finish, identical finish at the end. I mean, what more could you ask for from a Daytona race?
I mean, 3 of the closest finishes. I mean, all 3 finishes were closer than any of the other finishes that have happened in the history of the Full Send Racing Series here at Daytona. The closest before tonight was 0.06 of a second at their first race. Back in season 3 in their second race at Daytona, where it was 0.06 of a second. Tonight, both the duels were 0.05 of a second. You don't see that happen, let alone a identical finish at the line, and it goes to the digital counter that gives it to the 28 of Tony Brent from Texas Speed. I know that crew is hyped up, excited, and they're ready for how this season's going to progress as a full team. Yeah, I don't know how to even react, Trevor. I mean, I'm still trying to catch my breath from that finish because I've never seen 3 so close finishes, let alone we even had a 15,000th of a second finish at the stage break.
Yeah, I was about to say, I almost forgot about the stage break. It was a photo finish as well with Christopher Norris and I believe Ken Campbell, his teammate. I mean, so you think about it, the duels, the stage, the finish, I mean, they were all right on top of one another, and I'm with you. I'm still kind of at a loss for it because I've never seen a dead even finish like that.
It's a rarity, but at least we could say now we've seen it. So if anyone asks us moving forward, Trevor, we know we can say, yes, we have seen this before, because that was probably the closest finish you will ever see on iRacing. What a run, what a race. And for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, the coverage of great racing action does not end this week. We still got plenty of other great coverage to give you starting tomorrow night. WSSR Roast to Gems Cup Series. They're taking the Gen 4 cars to Las Vegas. Then Thursday night, Stars and Stripes, they're running the Gen 4 cars as well, but they head to the 2-mile course of Michigan. These are 2 tracks that can give us incredible finishes as well. So if you have not liked the stream, shared the stream, or just subscribe to Freaky Fast Broadcasting and hit that bell notification to be notified when we go live, might as well do all 3 of those things to get yourself prepared. A long season's in front of us, and what a way to start the Full Send Racing Series Tuesday night with Xfinity cars. You will not want to miss this series. It's going to be a joy. And Trevor, I'm now just more jazzed than I was after last week at the Clash. This is going to be a fun season to watch for these drivers. And before we get out of here, any final thoughts before we get prepared to call it a night?
I'm excited. I'm right there with you. I'm excited to get to Chicago and get to the rest of the season, because if the Clash in this is any indication of what we're going to see, for the rest of the season. I cannot wait. I mean, think back to season 3, all the exciting finishes we had. Season 4 with the trucks, the same thing, and now we're starting off season 5 this way. I cannot wait to see what the rest of the season is going to bring us.
It's going to be a fun one. And again, subscribe to Freaky Fast Broadcast and see all the coverage of the Full Send Racing series, and hit the bell notification when you know we are live. And officially here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we're live 4 nights a week, Monday through Thursday. We've got a broadcast for you to watch. And we are so thankful to have everyone that does watch. We had a large group of people viewing tonight's race. A huge shout out and thank you to all the viewers that chimed in the chat, that were just watching and cheering on your favorite driver at home, to the drivers, the admins, and race control. And for us up at the booth, for myself, Sam Dyer, Trevor Earhart, and also running productions, Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you so much for joining with us here tonight at Daytona. Some of the closest finishes you can ask for. I got a feeling a lot of people are going to go back and watch every single second of it, and I will too as well. We can't wait for our next Freaky Fast broadcast. We will see you tomorrow night. The WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series heads to Las Vegas. We'll see you on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.